Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to Law-Splaining the Interwebs. I am your host, Nick Rekieta of Rekieta Law, a small law firm in central Minnesota. And with me today are three fine, upstanding gentlemen. We have Larry Bleidner.
Yo.
What's going on, man?
How are you, Nick?
I'm good, buddy.
Counselor?
I'm good. Good to see you. We've got Doug TeNapel.
Yeah. Oh.
Hi. That was some weird Neanderthal
That's
language.
my Merry Christmas greeting to all.
That was great. That was great. Merry Christmas back to you. And we have Mr. Ty Beard as well.
Hey.
Fantastic. Hey. You guys are the level of discourse is already stunningly off the charts.
Oh yeah.
Today. Well, welcome, gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining us. Welcome to the chat. We are here for a Chad Dad chat in which we will discuss many things like dadhood, manhood, familyness, not feelings. We won't talk about those at all. No. Yeah, and whatever else comes up, I guess. So that's what we're doing today. I have some like very high level subjects to talk to you guys about, or like high level topic starters to talk about. So we'll mosey our way that way. But what have you guys been up to? It's been a long time since we've had one of these, which is my fault entirely, and I apologize profusely for it.
Yeah, I'm drinking wine tonight. First of all, what are you drinking? I think we got the drinky thing out of the way.
I'm finishing up this bottle of Bowmore 15-year Darkest.
Nice.
I've got my. You guys will probably like this. This is my Hose Mad shot glass.
Wow.
So
that whiskey looks nice. What's the dark? Is that smoky? What makes it dark?
Bowmore's a little smoky, but it's, as far as the Islay whiskeys go, it's kind of lightly peated. But this is it's like a dark chocolate kind of finish to it.
Wow.
And it's really, really good, especially because it's like it's not super expensive. It's like $70 a bottle, which for Scotch is not that bad, right? Like.
Cool.
It gets worse. But yeah, it's a strong recommend. It's a very, very good and balanced Scotch. A little bit of smoke, a lot of sweet, and finished in sherry.
I think Larry looks the nicest. Look at that sweater.
Yeah, I know. What do you? Yeah,
is that a V-neck or is that like a cardigan? What is that?
This is I bought this from Andy Williams when I was about 11, and I'm wearing it now.
It looks like Andy Williams or Charles Nelson Riley. and then Ty is just an abomination. I can't hear you over Ty's sweater.
Yeah. What are you doing with
this? Is a gift from my youngest daughter. It's that House of Snakes on Harry Potter or something.
Yeah, you're the House Slytherin.
You're Slytherin.
Don't pretend like you don't know what it is. You're a giant nerd.
That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
But it looks kind of Christmassy. Like, are those like snowflakes on the shoulder or something? Like the colors?
Yeah. Well,
right?
it's got the Slytherin. I don't know if you can see it, but it's got
Christmas.
the Slytherin thing here. I don't know.
And are the snowflakes on the sleeves? What's going on with the sleeves?
No, it's some kind of demonic stars and pentagrams and stuff.
Yeah, that's what nerds call snowflakes when they don't want to look like they've got snowflakes all over their.
The snowflakes are on the defense, right, Ty?
Yeah, that's it. That's right. They are being crushed. We are driving them before us.
So, okay, so Ty, I know what you've been doing. You've been doing the Vic case, and you've got your other law stuff that who cares. Larry, Larry, what have you been up to, man? I've been very bad about listening to your podcast, but the other day when I was driving to the airport, I listened to a whole bunch of them, and it was great, man.
Oh, good. Thank you.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I was listening. Oh, go ahead.
I had a milestone moment a couple of days ago. For the first time ever, I had a guest on my show. I'm well into my 250th episode.
Oh,
and it was a good one.
When I got to the airport, Like that was the last thing I heard you say was that you were like, I'm tentatively announcing we're gonna have a guest for the first time ever. It was great. Who can you dox who it was? Can you disclose?
Absolutely. The fabulous John McAfee.
John McAfee.
John McAfee. And John, John customarily gives people, maybe 8 to 12 minutes or something, and we went well over an hour.
Wow.
He revealed some things to me he's never said before anywhere. So I'm pretty excited about that. I've got to cut that and, put it to probably be a couple of episodes out of it at least, and they'll be out in the next couple of weeks. I'm pretty excited about that.
Yeah, so you can find that at thatlarryshow.com, right?
Thatlarryshow.com.
Yeah, and you should check him out on Patreon because you can get Sinner Sunday.
Yes.
Which is great. I love the Sinner Sunday.
Thank you, Nick.
It's this is Sinner Sunday. Speaking as someone who just came from a Catholic funeral, which here's the thing. Every Catholic funeral means there's another funeral coming because I am about to end my own life while sitting through it.
Okay, you said that.
Yeah. Oh, don't worry. That's all on me. No, it's just,
and I'm just laughing to be polite. I don't really think that's funny at all.
I bet you don't. I bet you don't.
Yeah.
Was this a closed or open coffin situation, Nick?
The visitation was open. This full disclosure. This was my grandmother.
Sorry to hear that.
Oh, thank you. Well, the last act of unkindness was having a Catholic funeral, though, because those are so long. Yeah. They're so long. No, I'm just I'm making light. It was actually a very lovely funeral service. We had more priests in there than anywhere I've ever seen, so I didn't fear demonic incursion.
I think we outnumbered the Vatican on that deal.
Yeah.
We also
more priests than an Irish bar.
And two of them were
mostly Irish. Yeah.
Two of them at least were very Irish. And
almost stereotypically Irish.
Oh, what are you talking about? Father Kelly? His name is Kelly, Ty.
I was there. I was talking to him and going, "You guys sound like the guys on Father Ted." I don't mean that rudely, but
well, the best part about funerals at an Irish Catholic run church is that you can bring a bottle of Redbreast, and the priest will join you, and it's fine.
Yes.
When my wife and I got married in our church up here that we used to attend, which is very conservative evangelical, they did have there was a no liquor rule at the wedding, no wine, no anything. And it's like, I grew up Catholic, and I'm like, no wine at the wedding. We had wine at church.
Yeah. Well, you probably have grape juice, right? Like I do.
No, it's Catholic. You have real wine.
No. I'm talking about at the non-Catholic thing.
Oh yeah. At our wedding, no.
Yeah.
What did we have?
If you did communion, it would be grape juice.
Oh yeah. That's
because all Protestants know that Jesus really just made grape juice, wasn't
right?
Was that what they say?
Well, he was very sweet. He was very sweet man. So yeah, it was, but it was good times, I guess. I forgot why I got on this story. But this is one of the subjects I wanted to talk about, and I thought the audience might find interesting, is a general discussion, of I guess, grieving, and what the heck we're supposed to do at these funerals, and how we're supposed to model that for our kids, because it's something that you don't, I went to a couple funerals as a kid, but you get more and more as you go on in life,
and then you get one of your own eventually.
Right? Yeah. Well, the worst tragedy in life is only attending your own funeral, right?
Yes.
The goal is to attend a whole bunch of other scumbags first, so you can say you made it past them. But so yeah, I think that'd be a good topic to kind of get into, is how we model this for our kids. Thank God I didn't have to bring my kids, because it was too far, too short a notice, way too expensive to haul all of them down from Minnesota to Texas. But at some point they'll be attending one up here in Minnesota, I'm sure. If not, I can make that happen. So that was one thing I wanted to talk to you guys about.
Well,
so I don't know if we do that now. I mean, I've got a bunch of preliminary chats to go through as well, but I figured that's one of the subjects I wanted to kind of talk about because it's relevant to me, and after all, this is my show, I guess.
It is your show.
It's all your show.
I guess it depends on who's in that box, Nick. Because I've had some of the greatest times of my life. I mean, most comedic moments at funerals. Because there you get to the luxury of the most intense form of laughter there is, and that's suppressed laughter. Because you're not supposed to, so you can really have a ball there. If it's somebody you know and love, well, then it's not so funny. But if it's some sort of kind of tangential, pay your respects to somebody that's really not that close to you, it could be a lot of fun.
Well, I laugh through. My goal or my motto in life for the past 2 years, really, since I kind of started the YouTube channel, and this is something I picked up from my friend Dick, is to try and find maximum funny in all things. And I really do think that's it doesn't have to be funny for you, but for me, that's where I get to mirth and joy is through comedy. So expanding that to what brings you actual joy, not just temporary happiness. But for me, like just finding comedy in all things. So I'm a bit irreverent, and I had my laughs at the funeral as well as my. Well, I don't have tears because this is the dad show. But that's actually that's part of what I wanted to talk about. Right? Is we have this dichotomy where we're supposed to be sad and grieving and stuff, but really American men have an expectation of being steadfast through these emotions. So, and I listened to a show called The Bible for Normal People, and they had a gay seminarian who's also a journalist talking about grief, and I wanted to go to his house and put him out of his misery.
You want to give him some grief, huh?
He's like, it gave me permission to not feel weak. And I was like, oh, well, you didn't take it. So I didn't like what he was modeling. I wasn't a big fan of that message.
You never have permission to be weak. Sorry. you do not. If you're a man, I'm sorry. You're allowed to be weak because we all are, but you don't have permission.
Yeah.
Well, because it's not about you.
Right.
That's such a selfish, narcissistic way of looking at it. Yeah, that's right. The guy died and we had the funeral so that you could cry. I mean, gee.
Yeah, you're right. Good point.
Yeah. As a father myself, one of the things that I always worried about was upsetting my children. Right, because I'm dad, right, and I never broke down. Well, that's not true. I did break down briefly at my mother's funeral, but I mean, I've always found it a very draining exercise because I try to keep it together. I don't always succeed. I mean, it's your grandmother's funeral, and I'm standing there very stoic, and of course my eyes are watering and stupid contact lenses, But yeah, I always worry about, I don't mind my children seeing that I am emotional, but at the same time, I don't think any child wants to see dad melt down.
That's right.
That's true.
I don't think so. And unless I've always felt that way. And
yeah. I'm a crier, but I'm also always trying not to bleed all over my children. Yeah. So at funerals, I have a hard time because I really miss the person who's going to go. I'm not going to ever see him again. And I'm not good with goodbyes. And so I'm ready to fall apart, right? But, you want to be as you want to show with leadership with your family that like someone's in control and someone can still drive home. Everyone else can cry, and dads, that's why men always end up stuffing it so much. And I think it's okay to stuff it. I think it's okay to cry, certainly at a funeral. Funeral's a good time to cry. And it is a good time to laugh. I mean, we always had gallows humor because the family gets together at funerals, and man, you get it's like a reunion.
Yeah,
and, it's a good time.
I want to clarify that I don't automatically see crying as weakness.
Yeah.
Situationally or whatever. Yeah. Jokes aside, and I think any Christian who takes a glimpse at the Bible can see that expressive emotion is something that goes back through all of the great patriarchs, Jesus himself to God and all of that. But there's a difference. There's a difference between carrying yourself with dignity through that and then exerting some sort of weakness. And I think it's less about the act of crying or how you're bearing it in the moment, and more about I guess the character with which you do it, which is, do you lose hope? Are you unable to project that life will continue? And those are different things, right?
Yeah. I don't want to draw attention to myself at someone else's funeral, so I don't want to be the big screaming sobber, Yeah. So I don't want to be that guy.
Yeah. Well, and you want to be strong. I mean, presumably, most of the time, you're not going to be the closest person to the deceased, right?
Yeah.
I don't think I do my friends who are hurting a lot more than I am. I don't do them any favors by being overly expressive and emotive. Although I got to say, one of the things that just kills me at funerals is I hate to see my friends and people that I care about in pain.
That's the worst part for me.
Infinitely more upsetting most of the time than the loss, which is often huge. But I mean, I struggle when I see a good friend, breaking up. It's like, ugh.
Yeah, I'm borderline sociopathic in some ways. Like Doug, you mentioned not knowing how to say goodbye.
Yeah, you notice none of us jumped in and said, "Oh no, Nick, you're not."
We affirm you. We affirm you.
I'll raise that, buddy. I'll see that and raise you one. You're a fucking psycho.
I'm the opposite. I'm the opposite.
Something wrong with that boy.
1 second.
Exactly.
11 o'clock at night and something's still wrong with him.
No, I'm the opposite, where for me, it doesn't bother me that much that I'm not going to see the person again. It's weird. Maybe it's just the particular deaths I've had to deal with or whatever. But even all four of my grandparents, though I was very close to them, it was just the time. That didn't bother me that much that I wouldn't see them. But there was always something else where my humanity kicks in and where the empathy takes over, and it's less about my experience with them and it's more about I get this moment where either I empathize with one of my family members who is going through the loss in their way, or the hardest one was my first grandpa dying, and I identified with a conversation I had with him prior to his death. I guess it wasn't after. That makes more sense. But yeah, so prior to his death, in which he expressed how afraid he was losing his faith, it felt like, in that conversation, which if you're not a Christian, fine, or whatever, and this won't mean as much to you, but if you are a Christian, you put yourself in the shoes of someone who has spent 80 years of their life confident in the afterlife and what is coming to them, only to then within 2 years of their passing, start to question and fear that they are losing that and that they are not going to get something. And it's less about losing the afterlife and more about losing the surety at which they're carrying on their final years. And and thinking about how frightened that might make someone who otherwise might be ready to go, that was really hard for me. So it's a different empathy that I get than other people. I don't process my own losses that way. So I always feel bad at funerals because I'm like sitting there like, okay, all right, can we move this along and get to lunch or whatever. But
that's also because your grandma's old. I mean, if it's my wife or a kid or a sibling, I'm going to be falling apart. I don't care.
Yeah.
You know, if it's an old person, you just kind of go, yeah, it was his time.
Right.
Yeah, it is. As you get older, I think one of the most one of the worst things is the deaths get closer. You know, when you're a little kid, it's a distant great aunt or something. Then your grandparents, then your parents. I lost 2 friends in the last month and a half as well. And and of course, I can't imagine the agony of losing a spouse or, God forbid, a child. If there's a parent's worst nightmare, that's it.
Yep.
Nick, for the stream, this might be, since this is a dad kind of show. I lost my father in 2002, and as I've said on your show, he wasn't a very nice man, and he died, and we were not reconciled. But nonetheless, somebody had to kind of put everything together, and and so I did. And up to that point, I had always skipped out on funerals. As a general rule, I didn't go to a funeral if any way I could, with a straight face, have an excuse. And so I remember that at the visitation, I'm sitting there and people are coming through. They're all my dad's friends, and I'm just trying to get through it. And I saw 3 of my good friends, come into the room. And I'll never forget the feeling of relief. I don't know relief, gratitude, whatever that feeling, what the support, whatever it was. And it was like a thunderclap. And I realized, oh, wait a minute, this is why you go to funerals.
Yeah.
And I've not skipped out on a funeral. I did miss your grandfather's funeral, but that was because my mother was dying of cancer and had a rough morning. They were in the same hospital. I don't know if you knew that, Nick.
Yeah. Well, I figured as much. Yeah,
they were. At one point, your granddad was in there, your grandmother's in there, and one of your uncles in there. And I was like, we should just have a block party.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's anyway, the way the Irish do it. I'm about 99% Irish, despite my non-Irish last name. And Irish wakes are legendaries. They turn into fucking borderline orgies. I mean, they get pretty wild. And I think that's a good way to do it. They really do.
Well, it's such an emotionally charged event. But this is maybe the first bit of advice to the stream. All of you guys out there, go to the funerals because you're going to support your friends and the people who are hurting. It has nothing. It almost has nothing to do with the dead person.
Yeah.
And like I said, and every close hit I've taken since then, when my friends have shown up and stuff, clients and that kind of thing, I can't really describe it except that it's an amazingly good feeling that I desperately needed at the time. So, whatever that's worth.
Yeah, yes. I think that's good advice. I tend to miss funeral. Like you said, you missed my grandfather's funeral. Well, so did I. Actually, I missed both of my grandfather's funerals, and I missed my other grandmother's funeral. I was at her visitation, but due to scheduling and having a life and 5 children 1,000 miles away. Yeah. It's just
that's not really an excuse. That's a reason.
Yeah, it's just how it is. And this one I was glad to make. I would have liked to make the others. It just was never possible. It never worked out. So thankfully, this one, my grandmother was courteous and chose a time when I could actually make it down.
Yeah.
Remember, the gallows humor is present.
I think she would want you to have fun. She would want you to be happy.
Oh yeah, yeah. Because his grandmother was a very fun-loving person.
She'd be happy the family was together.
Yeah. Would she want you to hit on the single chicks?
She'd want you to hit on the single chicks.
I don't think so. I'm pretty married.
No? Yeah. I mean, if you weren't married. I mean, I've seen a lot of people operating at wakes and funerals in that regard. They're pretty. I mean, you can literally play kind of white knight, and the chicks are vulnerable, and it can be like the flip side of the wedding crashers. Crash the funerals.
You have to understand the average age at that funeral was 260.
What are you, fucking ageist? So what? We like sex too.
Yeah, that's true.
Grandmothers need love. Don't be an asshole.
Listen, widows, we're open for business here. This is going to be great. It's going to be great. Set down the walkers, program those mechanical hips to swing. We're getting dance time.
Have you guys ever seen Death at a Funeral? There's a British version and there's an American version with Martin Lawrence and Chris Rock. No. But they actually, they're both really good. But the British version, of course, is better. The reprobate brother that shows up at the funeral is doing exactly that. He's scoping out the women at his father's funeral.
Yeah, because life goes on.
Well, guys are guys.
Yeah.
Whoa, Ty, that toxic masculinity will not get you far here, my friend.
No.
I read a book.
Buy that man a drink.
Yeah. I read a book by the guy that the director of Star Trek II Wrath of Khan, and he lost his wife, and he lived in New York, and he's at a restaurant, and he walks up and sees Pierce Brosnan, who had just lost his wife apparently, and so they sit down and have lunch, and they start talking about their wives. And they both start breaking up, sobbing and crying. And then some smoking hot woman walks by, and they both go,
"No, yep."
And he's like, "Well, what are you going to do?" So
that's good.
Yeah.
Guys are guys.
Yeah.
Usually, not the gay seminarian. I'll say that
he had permission. Sorry, that's going to cause me heartburn all night. Thanks,
the problem
Nick.
is, I love that show. It's a great podcast when they actually are talking about looking at the Bible in a different way than you might normally look at it. Pete Enns is one of the guys who runs it, and he's a very, very highly educated Old Testament scholar. Really interesting knowledge about the book and how the different books and how they interact with each other. And he's able to draw all of this insight. And it's like, I love that stuff. And then they get this rando guy, and I'm like, oh God. Or when Rachel Held Evans, before she kicked the bucket, they'd had her on like 3 times, and every time I'm like, this is nails on a chalkboard.
Yeah.
I can't. They liked her. I can't stand her.
They can't all be home runs. Sometimes your podcast episode's a single. Sometimes you just got to take the single.
Not in my case, Doug.
Yeah, actually,
except for the Larry show.
Except for the Larry show.
I would echo that. Honestly.
Yeah, I would too.
Larry, how much time do you spend editing each episode?
It's a funny thing. I was guesting on somebody else's podcast a couple of weeks ago, and they asked me exactly that. And in point of fact, I spend very little time doing what you would consider conventional editing. What takes me the longest time, and somebody told me there's some kind of software that will do this with a single mouse click, and I'm going to have to get the fucking thing. I get kind of persnickety about making sure the audio is really good, that there aren't any pops and clicks from my overly saliva-filled mouth,
Your audio is ridiculously good.
Well, thank you. But what takes me the longest time to edit them, like several hours, is to comb out all the junk that's in there that's picked up by the mic. And like I said, Sean of Dick, the famous Sean, spell it as you want, Szechuan. He told me a while ago that there's some high-end software that will do that for you with one click. And I'm just gonna have to get it. He said it's very expensive, but it's worth it.
He does that with Pro Tools, I think, and he has a whole bunch of preset filters or whatever. Is my understanding. I don't understand any of that, how that works, but
Larry, I enjoy your show a lot. I just want to tell
you. Thank you, Ty.
I show it occasionally on Facebook, as you know, but yeah, it's really good. And I got to say, I've started watching Doug lately.
I see you in the chat. You in the chat.
It's like he's like a high-tech Bob. Well, not high-tech. Latter-day Bob Ross.
Are you going to draw an afro?
Yeah.
No. What I mean is,
I feel all 70s and PBS now.
It's strangely compelling to watch. I watch him do that stuff. Of course, it's all stuff I could never do, right? But he's just sitting there, he's talking, chatting along, and he's just creating magic, with his pen and stuff. And it really, both those shows are really good. I'd recommend to everybody in the stream, give them a watch.
Sub to Larry show, give him 5 stars.
Thank you. Yes.
Give him the review that help pushes it up.
Yeah.
I did not catch the one with the guest on it, so I'm looking forward to
Well,
it.
it hasn't come out yet. I got to cut it. I just had to talk.
Oh, okay. Okay.
We just met online a couple of days ago, so I've got to get to work on that.
Cool.
Yeah.
Larry, all I got to ask is, please tell me, Tony Spumante did exist, right?
Absolutely.
Good.
That is not his real name, of course.
Of course not,
but yeah, Tony's real and fascinating guy. Yeah, absolutely.
Is Tony alive?
Yes, he is.
Well, I just spoiled everything. There went all the danger.
He's alive, but he's not in witness protection. Tony was always he was I through Tony and other places and people that I knew and so forth, I did know a number of wise guys back in the day in New York, and most of them were either imbeciles or psychotic imbeciles. The whole the Scorsese thing, and there's so much bullshit. That guy's so fucking far out in left field, it's not funny. That always irked me. But like when he did Goodfellas, some of it was on target, but the wardrobe. He's got all these guys in Barrymore collars and Turnbull and Asher shirts and three-piece suits, complete horseshit. Those guys, the only time they ever put on a tie or a suit was for a wedding or a funeral. That was it.
Or court.
Or court, yes.
Yeah.
The rest of the time, their uniform was what, if you remember from the original Rocky, that kind of leather car coat that Stallone wore when he was breaking legs in the beginning. Yeah. They were called car coats. They were boxy as fuck, and the reason they all wore them was because you could pack, sawed-offs and 9s and 45s and shit, and nothing ever really showed, even when you buttoned them. That was the reason.
I liked how Paulie was dressed when he goes to visit Paulie later in Goodfellas, and he comes out just like a tracksuit, open with the t-shirt, and he's like, he pulls out the wad of cash. He's like, here you go. That's a good scene. I love that movie.
Tony was the thinking man's, mobster. He was very, very smart guy, and he was not a maniac. He's not what you'd want to cross, But he was an anomaly, really, and we got along very well. I haven't seen him in a long, long time, but he's still around. Yeah,
very cool. You should get him on a show sometime. That'd be great.
I know. I would love to.
Okay, let me read through some of these questions because I want to make sure that everybody who asks you guys questions gets their answers. Matt Moran says, "Hey Nick, saw the tweet regarding your finances, and now I feel bad for freeloading. I literally have no idea what tweet you're talking about. Here's a double saw, but oh wait, was it Shane Holmberg's tweet? It was
some shithead that was I saw Tug covered, or no, Hero Hay covered it.
Yeah, they covered. They said they were going off of the Social Blade estimate of my earnings. I think
first cuss of the night.
Yeah, well.
Yeah, well, but it was cussing in a good cause. I think. Yeah. I think my daughters will give me a waiver on that one.
Yeah, I need to watch Hero Hay's video on it and see how I was victimized.
It was ridiculous, but anyway, yeah.
Did it say something like I was making $9,000 a year or something like that?
2,000 to what was it? Golly, it was from 2 to 35,000 a year or some such. It was.
I'll put that on my taxes. That'll be great.
Yeah, that'd save you some money.
I mean, Hero A didn't really get into it, but of course it was an estimate, and the range was insanely wide. It was like 2,000 to 35,000 or something like that.
Yeah,
because who gets preoccupied with your income?
Oh, you would be shocked.
Whether if it's millions or hundreds, it's like. What kind of guy is preoccupied with someone else's income? I don't know.
These people are obsessed with Nick.
Crazy.
There are these guys. There's this guy out there, Emmett Plant. He's a weird.
That little goofball.
Yeah, he's a turbo weirdo. Who
will never ever be Vic, and his girlfriend knows it.
Well, so he mentioned the other day that he could start a media company tomorrow and outperform me within 6 months. Which
do it.
Yeah, that's what I said. Do it, please. Like, I would love for you to be successful. That doesn't bother me. But then someone's like betting him $500 he won't do it, and he's like, well, we'd never be able to know because Nick is terrible at disclosure, and we'd have to base it on income. I'm like, who talks about that? Who just like tweets out their income all the time. I mean, this guy actually kind of does. He talks about how much money he makes, but never with a number. But then apparently I'm supposed to like just disclose my income, which you can watch it. It's right. It's live.
Yeah, you could sit there with a notepad and go, "There's another super chat."
Yeah.
But it was the weirdest thing. I'm like, what are these criticisms? I'm bad at disclosure because I'm not boasting about my income or lamenting about it. I mean, neither one. I just don't talk about it because I was raised that way. You don't.
That's right.
You don't talk about money, politics, or religion. I mean, I broke the other two rules all the time, but money is very, it's personal to people. And
the measure of a man shouldn't be based on his income.
No, because there's a million factors that go into it. Where you live, what you do, what you need, how many people you're feeding. You could be like Old Dirty Bastard, famous rapper, Wu-Tang Clan, collecting food stamps despite making all of his money because he had 13 children with different women. So all those child support checks drained his finances immediately. So Old Dirty's living poor. Well, he was.
That's what I like about cigar shops is I don't know what the other guys make and they don't know what I make. You sit there and you smoke.
Right.
And you just kind of hang out and there's kind of this brotherhood, it's like everyone's kind of this median thing. I never heard of a guy. No one's ever asked me what I made.
No.
Okay, so I'm a Warhammer nerd, and there's two things. There's two things. I'm a Warhammer nerd, and I used to do combat jiu-jitsu. And at the jiu-jitsu gym where I trained briefly, very briefly, it was a summer during college, so I didn't have much time with it. But at this particular gym, everybody, you had a belt. But he said when you get in the gym, you better not have your belt on.
That's right.
Because on the street, you don't get to see who you're fighting. Like, you don't know what rank they are. You just get on the mat and you roll around and you fight. That's it. So that's one way I look at this. And the other way I look at this is in the Horus Heresy, when all of the chapters that were about to go bad, they were engaged in these warrior lodges. And in the lodge, once you got into the lodge, your rank, it didn't matter anymore. The lodge was a place of equality, and I put that to the point where men get together and talk. It should be about just your opinions and what you're bringing to the table. It shouldn't be about these external qualifiers. They don't really matter.
Yeah.
I think that might be an American obsession because not only, I mean, is it like bad form to ask people what they're make or what they're worth, but it's definitely an American obsession. But in Europe, I haven't traveled there extensively, but to ask someone even what they do for a living is kind of a faux pas. Yeah, is low rent
because it's implied. Because if a guy says I'm a
right.
this or I'm a that or I'm an exec versus exactly. I'm a janitor.
Yeah. Whereas in America, the first fucking thing people do is, it's really strange. Although the recipients of those questions are usually not so forthright. People will tell you about their sexual kinks before they will tell you how much money they make, which is really an odd thing, but that's how it is.
Yeah. Well, and of course, the more someone talks about how much money they're making, the less they're making. I mean,
especially in Los Angeles. Yes.
Yeah. Well, I think that's true just about everywhere.
Oh, that's where Emmett's from. Oh, God. Okay, so to finish up that chat, he says, "Here's a double sawbuck. Go tell the kids they're getting real milk for Christmas this year." You wish. Nice. You wish. Nice. They wish, I guess. Billy the Kid Lauren says, "I saw Jamie Markey in slutty pictures on Twitter today. Yuck." Oh, dude.
God. Could have gone my whole life without that visualization.
#trashbag, but Lemoyne's motion denied. Chad Dad stream live, and now I own copies of Radio Nowhere and Earthworm Jim. Today isn't so bad.
Thank you.
Hey,
Thank you so much. It's great.
Doug, where's my book?
I know. I knew I'd get in trouble on tonight's stream. Yeah, we have. That's what you were asking. What we were doing earlier. I'm trying to ship out 9,300 orders for Earthworm Jim.
Goodness.
It's on. There's like 25 pallets of books going out. I think yours will go out on Monday, Nick. If you don't get a tracking number, give me a call.
Oh, I'm very unworried about it, my friend.
And your original page that features you slobbering drunk is going to be great.
Yes, I can't wait. It's going to get hung up right where this flag is. That flag's a placeholder.
That's just I'm actually sending you two. One is for the one that you paid for, and one is for a thank you for bringing me on your show. So I'm going to send you two, but definitely the one of you drunk in hell.
I can't wait. I can't wait.
With buckets of liberal tears is going up on your wall. So.
Yeah.
Be sure, Nick. Be sure you take a good picture of it and show it on the show in a close up.
So. Oh yeah. Well, I'm gonna very happily
talk about a funeral. I had to look at pictures of Nick's face to get his likeness. I had to look at pictures of his face over and over again. I felt like I was at a funeral.
What you have to do
you're
is
a professional, Doug.
Yeah.
You have to ask what.
I tried not to show any tears, Ty. I try not to cry too hard.
What you have to do is you have to ask what the hell you did to deserve that. That's the real question.
It's grace. I have unmerited favor with all you guys who are my friends. Unmerited favor. I didn't have this coming.
Sakaki Onsai says, hey dads, single at just about 40, have traveled many places, lived in foreign countries, lived life, got through a lot of psychological crap, had people recently ask why in the hell I'm not married yet. Have I missed the boat? First answer is no. You've never missed the boat on marriage. I don't know. What do you guys think? I don't think there is a missing the boat. Because I've seen a lot of guys, and I know some guys who went through bad marriages when they were young and didn't find the person that actually matched them until they were much, much older. Much older than Sakaki here is too. So I wouldn't say you missed the boat on that, but
that's so cute. That's so cute when someone who's 40 thinks they're over the hill and have missed the boat. It's like, yeah, right.
Listen, just because the rock slide is coming down on you, Ty, doesn't mean you have to be mad at the people at the top of the hill.
What I was offered that guy is, what if the boat you missed was the Titanic?
Yeah.
And in many cases it is. About 50% of the cases.
Some guy just said he saw Jamie Markey on Twitter, so that would be the Titanic.
Yeah.
That was a fat joke.
I would agree with you, Dick. Not a chance. No, you haven't missed the boat.
Definitely, it's just a great thing to tell. If you find someone who's a wonderful, what an amazing thing for a guy to say, I commit my life to you forever. That's what every woman wants to hear. That's what every guy dreams of. I'm not saying it'll happen for you, but it's definitely the ideal. It would be great if it worked. It would be great.
My maternal step grandfather, I guess you'd say, he married my grandmother when he was 51 and had never been married. And he was the best grandfather I think anyone could have ever had.
How neat.
He married her a month after I was born. That was, so I mean, obviously I grew up with him as my papa, but he had been single his whole life and she was a widow, and they had.
How old was she, Ty?
She
was 22.
Yeah, she was actually. I think she was like 7 or 8 years younger than him.
Okay,
something like that. There was a bit of an age. I mean, this was 1965, Central Louisiana.
Yeah.
But that's a perfect example right there. They had a wonderful marriage. They loved each other, and he was a wonderful grandfather. So I guarantee he had not missed the boat.
It is not good for a man to be alone. I would go crazy alone. I really need someone else, and so hope you find someone.
Yeah, I get a lot of emails from guys, and I discussed this actually with McAfee, because he's had, 18, 19 wives, whatever, he's got 47 children. And I get, curiously, I so often get emails from guys saying, hey, you're America's dad. And how do you help me? Can you help me find? And this is the critical thing. They never say, how can I get laid? They say, how can I find a girlfriend?
Mm-hmm.
Which makes me think
you did a show a couple of weeks ago, didn't you?
Yes.
Where you told them where to pick up chicks. I was listening to that show. I was going, yeah, he's right.
Yeah. And then so I said to McAfee, I says, you really have clearly a lot of experience in this department, John. What do you say? And he said something that I thought was really smart, which maybe we can share with this listener. He said, my advice is for all those guys is to, when you go out in search of girlfriend, whack off, bad choice of words, delete that first word of girl. Just look for a friend and let the girl part come later, the girlfriend thing. And it was pretty smart. And that's sage advice, I think.
That's better advice than he gave on the Dick Show, I think. But he wasn't talking about finding a significant other. He was just talking about getting laid on that one. So he gave
that's why it's the Dick Show.
Yeah. Well, he gave some advice that seemed to be skewed heavily by I think he's like a billionaire or whatever, or close to it.
No.
He's a pretty rich guy, isn't he?
He's a rich guy, but I mean, I don't know. Allegedly, at his peak, he was worth $100 million.
Oh, that's all.
But he took a hell of a fucking haircut in the 2008 debacle, and so it's allegedly worth a fraction of that. He's probably down to his last 25 million.
Yeah.
Oh man, how does he make it?
How does he get by?
Well, he's basically a modern day pirate. He's like a Jimmy Buffett song or whatever.
Totally fascinating guy.
Yeah.
Totally.
Anyone with $45 in an Asian massage parlor in his neighborhood can get laid.
Yes.
So the question is, what we're looking for is someone who will sign up for something deeper: friendship, love, companionship, having fun with someone who invests in your life. And that usually comes from you giving yourself away by you investing yourself in someone else. You want them to invest themselves in you, so be willing to invest yourself in someone else. And hopefully there's love, because I'm lucky to have love. I feel like I'm lucky to get to have love.
If it all goes sideways, you get to meet a dude like Ty who helps you get the fuck away from him.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, well,
I mean, do you do a lot of divorce work, Ty?
I don't personally. I've handled some. If a business is involved, if a family-owned business or something, I've come in as a consultant, and I've handled a few of those. They tend to be very high net worth kind of deals, but generally speaking, I leave the family law to other attorneys, because it's a grueling. It's tough to watch people's lives being torn apart by them.
Yes.
It's good. We're going to do this. It's going to be very friendly. No, they're never friendly. Ever. I
had a friendly one.
You did?
Yeah. Well, they weren't rich though.
Yeah.
That changes a lot.
It does, but you know what? So many times it doesn't when it should. It's like, you guys can't afford this fight.
Oh yeah. That's most people. I'm just saying the one I had that was it was really amicable, really easy.
Yeah.
And it did not involve any division of property. It was literally like, you keep your car, I'll keep my car.
Yeah.
No argument over the house or kids or anything. It was
the problem people run into is that for it to go amicably, both of them have to be thinking very clearly, and both of them have to be emotionally mature at all times when they interact.
Yeah. Well, and they have to not.
That math doesn't work.
They have to not perceive there's something to gain from acting differently, and it doesn't take much money for people to think they have something to gain.
Yeah.
And it's certainly that level of money where they think they have something to gain is far lower than the level of money it costs. Yeah. So people with like a savings account with 35 grand in it think that they'll gain something by being pissy in the divorce. It's like, you guys are each going to spend more than this.
Oh yeah.
Fighting over that stupid amount of money.
The Nick, one thing that's come out of this talk about where do I find a girlfriend or whatever, you got to go looking.
Yeah.
You're a few people get lucky enough that the very first one is the one, but the vast majority are not. So you got to put like Doug said, got to put yourself out there. You got to actually go looking. They're not going to just come to you. They don't just appear magically.
The guy's got to show the initiative.
Yeah.
It's a leadership quality. Don't cry at funerals.
Unless you're a rock star, then they come to you.
I'm not going to live that one down, am I?
No, Larry, you can't be a rock star anymore. Those guys, you can't. That whole lifestyle's gone today. You can't have the lifestyle where women come to you based on what you do, because
what's the point of living?
I don't know, because that's. I look at these things like, you see what Cuba Gooding Jr. is going through right now.
Yeah,
he's got 22 accusers or whatever, Cuba's old enough where he remembers the 80s, and whatever he's doing now was not a problem when he started working. I don't even know what he's doing. I don't know if it's credible at all, but the idea that celebrity gets fresh with females who come up to dote on celebrity is like that. That's just how it was, right? Have you guys heard that there's a song by Bowling for Soup called 1985? And it's about a woman she's middle-aged now, and she's got her kids and her SUV or whatever, and her husband who doesn't love her, and she's remembering when she wanted to be the chick in leopard print skirt dancing on Whitesnake's car, right? Like, she remembers wanting to engage in that rock star life, and the song it's just a corny little thing, but I was thinking about it, and I'm like, Motley Crue would be in prison today if they went on tour like they did in the 80s and 90s. I mean,
they may still be. I mean, none of these statute of limitations are becoming in perpetuity, or they're being abolished, right? So basically, everybody's going to wind up in jail,
right?
Well, a lot of men are. A lot of men, and a lot of it. I'm sorry, a lot of it is just angry women 30 years later.
Of course,
Look, there are people that I'll hate for the rest of my life, and I probably shouldn't be empowered to wreck their lives, for the indeterminate future. It's, and yes, I'm sure some of those claims are legitimate, but we're back to that due process thing. The presumption of guilt, it's the most destructive thing ever.
Oh, Ty, did you see what Matt Bevin did?
No.
Okay, so Matt Bevin was the governor. Well, he still is technically the governor of Kentucky.
I saw your tweet, and I meant to follow. He pardoned a rapist or something?
He pardoned 400 violent criminals.
Oh, my God.
Somebody he pardoned was convicted of chopping a woman's head off and shoving her in a barrel.
Gee, I'm going to go out on a limb and speculate that he's a Democrat?
No, Matt Bevin's Republican.
Oh, my God, he's one of those morons.
Kentucky.
What? Kentucky?
Yeah, he was, and he was a Tea Party Republican.
Weird.
Was hugely supported by Glenn Beck, for example, during the height of like the 2010 wave of Republican resurgence. He was in that crew, and then he loses his re-election bid this year, and in his lame duck, reign has pardoned 400 criminals, many of them extremely violent.
That's his lame. Oh, he's doing this as a lame duck.
Yeah.
Oh, someone ought to.
Got to kick him out.
What can you do? You can't do anything about it.
I was about. No, I would resort to extrajudicial, electoral remedies.
Could he be impeached, Ty?
Yeah, but there's no.
You wouldn't get it done before he's out.
He's out.
He's going to be out January, or whatever, January 21st. Or something like that.
One or two of those scumbags are going to kill somebody.
Yeah,
if not more.
So did anybody question? Has he made any statement on how he rationalizes doing this?
They have to put some sort of cursory statement in the pardon for each case. And the one case is a guy. It's actually a really interesting case. The guy is accused of repeatedly assaulting a girl from when she was 9 to when she was reported him somewhere around 13 or 14 years old, from what I gather. They don't actually say her age, so it's hard to determine. But they had to actually they had a Daubert hearing because they brought in experts on children's behavior. And a Daubert hearing is where you tell the judge why you need specific expert testimony, and the judge determines if that expert testimony will be relevant, applicable, and not too prejudicial to the other party. So they have the hearing to see, because this is the first time a child behavioral specialist has been used as expert testimony in a criminal trial in Kentucky. But they wanted to explain why a 9-year-old didn't run to the police and get a rape kit done, right? Because the guy, and this is what you do for his defense, he brought in a bunch of people to try and discredit his accuser. He tried to discredit the girl, which that's how you defend the case. There's nothing wrong with doing that. But to counter it, the state brought in these experts to tell the jury why, like, a 9-year-old or a 10-year-old isn't going to be able to effectively report this type of crime. They may not even know it's really a crime, all of that sort of stuff. So Bevan's excuse for pardoning this guy was that, well, there was too much testimony evidence and not enough physical evidence.
So he's saying he's innocent in a way?
He's saying that he doesn't want to convict a guy just based on the words of the girl he allegedly assaulted over and over and over again.
So he overrules a jury.
Yeah.
Yeah, he can't do that, right?
And with that
pardoning power,
with that expert testimony, I mean, this guy got, he lost at the Daubert hearing, clearly. So he had more due process than probably the majority of rapists convicted in Kentucky got. So it's not like this guy was just convicted because one person one time said he did one thing, right? Like, they brought in experts, they brought in a whole bunch of stuff that hadn't been done before. And this guy had the chance at every single one of those hearings to get that thrown out, couldn't do it. And now the really annoying thing is, because he's pardoned, the appeals court in Kentucky can't look at it and see if the new stuff that they did was proper. They'll have to just guess.
Yeah, the pardon wipes it out. Yeah. So is he just a vindictive slime bag? I mean,
the real bad thing that they've now found is that one of the guys that was convicted for murder. He's convicted for murder along with 2 other guys. Okay, that's the important part of this story. 3 guys convicted for the same murder. One of them gets pardoned, and the one who got pardoned, his family had donated about $25,000 to Bevan's campaign.
That's gross.
So now, and the other guy's family, the 2 guys who did not get pardoned, their families made no donations, and they're finding links to wealthy donors for a couple of the other pardoned criminals.
The good citizens of Kentucky should absolutely harass that guy into the ground wherever they see him.
Yeah, well,
I mean, that's about all you can do at this point. But express vocally to him your opinion of him.
He's playing with fire because in a state like Kentucky, I mean, he may not be harassed into the ground.
Oh, no.
He may be lassoed and buried underground.
Well, and not calling for it or anything, but boy, if it happened, that would be sweet poetic justice, wouldn't it?
It'd really be bad if one of the guys he pardoned did it.
Yeah. Unfortunately, that doesn't happen much in the real world.
No.
That's just, there's a disturbing trend, although I think Bevan is obviously a dysfunctional toad, but there's a disturbing trend with the Republicans in general, with this idea of letting violent offenders out just because. We've had record low crime now for two decades.
Yeah.
And people don't realize that, movies like Death Wish came out because of rampant, out of control crime. And I guess maybe that's just the cycle. You know, it's been so long since we've had runaway, out of control crime in outside of the deep inner cities that we start playing around with these little social theories. Well, we'll just let them out because they're better now.
I think he might have done it as punishment. There was a Texas judge who did that too. He got unelected and he started just throwing out cases, just dismissing all the criminal cases.
Well, that's what I was asking. Is he just a vindictive little toad, or is he?
Don't know. But
if he's paid, then it's about he'd rather take money than do what's right.
Yeah.
Well,
there's nothing you can do for those guys. You got to get them out.
And there's
Bill
nothing.
Clinton did that. He pardoned Mark Rich.
Yeah. And then he killed Seth Rich. Perception Check says, I will have to catch this tomorrow. Good night to this manly man panel. Love y'all. Hey, catch you later.
Thank you.
Talon Sear says, Doug, my book came in today. It looks fantastic. Thank you. Ty,
thank you for backing. Thank you all.
Ty, if you like military sci-fi, I recommend the series starting with the title On Basilisk Station by David Weber.
Funny thing, I just got a complimentary copy of one of the books in that series. Might have been the first one by a guy. So I will do that. David Weber writes good stuff anyway. So yeah.
Think Horatio Hornblower in space. Night, gents. Hey, later, Towns here.
That's James T. Kirk, but I get the point.
Crimson Fist. He asked if he didn't do this in the chat. He sent the chat to me later, so I'm going to try and get it right. He was asking you, Doug, if you have any plans to do anything with the Neverborn or something else.
Well, the Neverhood.
Neverhood. Yeah, not the Neverborn. That's a Warhammer thing. Neverhood.
That's a game we made in the mid 90s, and EA has the rights, and I've tried getting the rights for 20 years. So
well, you tried getting the Earthworm Jim rights for 20 years, and you finally did that.
Yeah, I tried getting those, and I got them. So it's possible. People change, and it's their lawyers. I'm so glad there's two lawyers in here. It's their lawyers that won't play ball, and I have to play some ball too because I kind of have an exorbitant royalty on that makes them less not wanting to work with the project. They just want to leave it in their vault. So I gotta play ball too. So I'm aware of that.
I see. The other one was Clay something. Clay.
It was the same thing. That's Neverhood was done in Clay animation.
It was done in Clay animation. That's right.
You got that one.
Okay. Perfect. Next we've got Stephen Frost says, have 20. Why? It's my birthday. Well, happy birthday, buddy. And he says, Hey, Doug, the Earthworm Jim comic is great.
Thank you for backing again. Thanks, guys. Thousands of them are going out. I haven't gotten a single bad review. So Yellow Flash gave a great review. Antonio Bryce.
How's he doing?
I donated. I put all the money into the book. Basically, I didn't take any. I took some for myself, but I didn't take. We raised $815,000, and I just said I'm going to give these guys a huge thank you to the backers. So thank you so much, guys.
That's one thing I don't think people understand is that that's a gross revenue. Yeah. It's not net. There's a bunch of production costs that comes out after that. And so people see these things and think, wow, so-and-so made $800,000. Man, they're super rich off it. It's like, well, that's not how it works. There's a big cost that goes into the product. And they would probably be shocked to find out what that cost actually is. Yeah,
I was paid to put on a show, and I like putting on a show. And the show is more important than the money I make. I make plenty on the book. I didn't try and gouge the campaign, and people who get what I give them know that I didn't gouge them. So I wanted to make clear evidence that it is a killer campaign. So it's my big thank you guys for sticking with me and hanging in there.
How's Antonio doing, by the way? I haven't talked to him in a long time.
He's doing great. I haven't talked to him either for a couple of weeks. I
haven't talked to him in like 6 months.
Yeah, his book Brand comes out next year, and I'm looking forward to that. It's a beautiful looking book. If you guys haven't seen Brand on Indiegogo, I think he might have closed the campaign, but check it out. Brand is his book.
He was on here promoting it a long time ago.
Yeah, it's late. It's very late, but the artwork is fantastic.
Yeah, it was crazy. He also makes good food, from what I understand.
Yeah, he's a cook. He's here in Tennessee. He wished me a happy Merry Christmas today, so I appreciate that, brother.
Oh, I got to talk to him again.
Good guy.
Bad Vibe says, if you want to see the people who passed on, look at yourself. You will find traits, opinions, and mannerisms they had. If you want to keep them in your life, teach the next generation the lessons they taught you. It dulls the ache. So there's some advice. And if you don't, then don't. That's important advice as well. And I mean that in a true way. Look, nobody's perfect. And you know the faults of your loved ones, even if you never say them, better than the other people who come to these events, right? You get the good things that they all got, but you also get the rawness of them. And if there are things that you don't like, don't pass that on, and don't dwell on that either, because that's a poison. That's a poison for you. And I think that's one thing that I have to fight against myself, is because I'm such a cynical pile of trash that I will dwell on the bad things while listening to other people talk about the good things, if you know what I mean. I also like to make jokes on Twitter about
how many times have you been bounced from Twitter, Nick?
Well, my other account got banned 3 times. The third time was final. And so,
is that how it works? They give you two, and then the third one, you're 3 strikes. Is that the deal?
I think you just have to. It depends on how bad you piss them off. The worst part is that the first 2 might have been more justified than this one. This one was I didn't do what they said I did, and it's really frustrating. But
do you want to talk about that? I'd be interested to know. I'm always curious about that stuff.
Sure. Do you want to talk about that? Sound like let me get my couch, Larry. Grab your clipboard.
Make him talk. Make him talk to Larry.
Just got a good tank up. So yeah.
So sure. When you get suspended permanently from Twitter, they give you a list of the tweets, the offending tweets. I got a list of 5 tweets. And in it, they said, I violated the policy against abusive behavior, which includes threats of violence based on race, national origin, disability, or something else, or targeted harassment.
Okay.
And I didn't threaten violence. I certainly didn't threaten violence based on some sort of protected status, even if I had, which, again, I don't. So even if they misunderstood and thought that I did threaten violence, I don't know how it would have been based on any sort of status. And the 5 tweets don't have violence in them. It was against a guy named Mitchell Horton. I did call him a fucking mutant. I don't know if that... But that's not that big. That's just an insult, right? Like, that's not threats of violence or harassment. And also, I was responding to him. Like, I wasn't going to his page or threads or whatever. I was responding to him in my thread. Like, I posted something. He responded to me with some sort of attack or verbal invective. And so then I just responded in kind. And I got permanently banned for it. So that's it. That's all it took. I thought it was because
my question to you, Nick, is if you had it to do all over again, would you have edited yourself? Is it better to go down and lose it over expressing your free thought, or is it better to carve up your free thought for the Leviathan and act the way they demand you act?
Well, I literally couldn't predict that I would go down for those tweets, so I can't rightly say I would edit them. But even if I knew that I would, I mean, I guess I would have tried to find whatever word pissed them off, because that's the most frustrating part. It's like, this is run of the mill Don Rickles would have been off Twitter immediately. Like these were rather mild.
Well, you know, I mean, we remember, I think it was the first time Dick got bounced. Mm-hmm. And he had a pretty robust following, 18, 20,000, whatever.
I had 28,700.
There you go. And
you know how many fat jokes it takes to get that many followers?
Oh, yeah. And they bounced him because he told some asshole to go eat a cinder block.
Right, yeah.
And they remember that, and they told him that was a violent terrorist threat, you know. And part of their horse shit that they say is, you know, now I've seen the word in their terms of service, or their, what do they call it? What the fuck is their nanny state verbiage they use? Whatever it is.
Their community guidelines.
Community guidelines. Hurtful. Oh, hurtful. So obviously calling somebody a mutant is hurtful, Nick. And
yeah. Well, it just depends. I don't know. Maybe he wrote him a giant sob story about he actually is some sort of malformed monstrosity running around with an arm coming out of his mouth or whatever.
He's an X-Men.
I don't know. Or maybe he's super fat and got offended. I don't know, because I told some fat lady today that I know there isn't a full ham sitting behind the answer, but I needed her to focus. I don't know if is that like abusive? I don't know. If there's a ham sitting behind the answer, I would focus. It's not necessarily a fat joke, although she does happen to be globular. Oh, Larry, I wanted to talk about Pointy.
Yes.
Because people have asked me about the definition of Pointy. Can you elaborate on what a Pointy chick is?
Sure. Pointy chick is a style of the appearance of a woman where almost everything about her comes to a point, probably with the exception of her ass. But they look very feline. You know, the eyes would come, you know, in points, almond-shaped eyes, the fingertips, the toes. They almost look sharp, as if you might cut yourself on them. But it would be a, you know.
So you're saying they're angular?
Angular, and you know, who are some, you know, probably the queen of Pointy, although she's actually getting a little bit old now. She's 38. Would be Adriana Lima, the Victoria's Secret model. Yeah. That chick was like impossibly pointy. But all through history, pointy chicks have driven guys insane. Ava Gardner, the film star from the 40s and 50s, was incredibly pointy.
Raquel Welch.
Welch. Eva Mendes, who's like Raquel 2.0. You know, she's extremely pointy.
Larry, who was that singer you posted a pointy?
Oh my God, that chick is. Oh, her name is Daria Zaritskaya.
Yeah, just Google her, guys. You'll understand Pointy Chick.
Holy shit, she is unbelievable. And she can shred a rock song. She's gorgeous. I don't know why she isn't like a mainstream monster star, but what do I know?
That picture of her that you posted was just kind of wow.
Yeah, she's killer. Okay,
so they're angular, but what do you call them when the angles are 320 plus degrees?
I don't know.
I need to know this for market research.
I try not to go there, Nick. It's, you know, there's enough. I try to keep my world as pleasant as possible, and so you know, if I'm surfing around. You know, I curate those images very carefully. You know, people have said, "Why isn't every day Pointy Chick Friday?" Because you know,
because you don't run into a pointy chick every day.
Exactly. Yeah. It's called quality control, and it takes a long time. And the other thing you might note also with pointy chicks that I post both on Twitter and Facebook is they are never ever sleazy. They can be incredibly hot, but they don't look like porn stars. You know, they just look like really hot, classy chicks.
Okay.
Is Pointy bad, Larry? Because
no.
I don't want to hug a pointy woman. It's like sounds like I'd be stabbed.
It's a stabbing you would enjoy. Pointy chicks. Probably. I'll bet you Salome was pointy. I'll bet you Delilah was pointy. They are the
Cleopatra sounds pointy.
They're heartbreaking chicks. You know.
Lauren Bacall.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Big time pointy.
To have not, especially.
Yes. Incredibly pointy. Absolutely. Yeah. You got it, Ty. You
Is she
understand?
even alive anymore?
No, she's been dead for probably 10 years.
She's probably extra pointy now.
She's probably, well, I don't can dust be pointy? I don't.
She's crypt keeper Pointy.
Well, you rub some fiberglass in your eyes and you'll have the answer.
Young Nicholas, just watch To Have and To Have Not.
I don't want to watch your old movies.
Yeah, this is one you want to watch. It's a good one. It's the one where she does the classic. You know how to whistle, don't you? You put your lips together and blow, and it's like,
oh,
yeah.
I mean, Frank Sinatra, whose 104th birthday was 2 days ago, I never knew he attempted suicide 4 times in his life, and it just didn't pencil out. Yeah, imagine that. I think that didn't, like, what, really, that guy with his ego?
Frank?
But three of those occasions was while he was married to uber pointy Ava Gardner. So suddenly it made sense.
Yeah, she piece of work, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But uber pointy, yes.
Okay, thank you for that. Nova Zero says you're not allowed to feel weak, but as a break glass measure, you can deploy weakness tissue to help clean up that eye water. Also, it is funny listening to how other men try to explain death to children. Oh. I just told him, I always just tell my kids that it's their fault. That's it. I feel like that's
good. I like that.
That's preparing them for the world.
There you go.
For when they'll be blamed for everything that isn't their fault.
Yes, especially if they're male.
Good training.
Yeah. Aztec0523 says, gone, not forgotten. They are not here. They are merely marching far away. Respects to all the fallen and departed. Hooyah. Nix Hex says, I'm always uncomfortable saying that name. Says, I'm getting to an age where I will probably be a stepdad before having a child of my own. And I made peace with that. Any godly advice for stepping into this role and what to look out for?
Ooh.
The godly advice I can give you is always be on guard for yourself.
Yeah.
I think we are not, this is not a slight or criticism of stepdads. Be very aware that I'm not doing that. I'm saying that we are not wired to look after the offspring of another. If you are a proponent of any sort of level of evolution, that kind of runs counter to the idea of spreading our genetic marker out into the future. So my advice then is to be, and this is a foster parent thing. This is an adoptive parent thing. This is a stepdad, stepmom thing, is to be extra on guard for how you're treating that child and make sure that you are going the mile to love them that is beyond what you think you need to do. Because I think there's almost a biological imperative to treat them poorly. And you'll find a lot of foster children and adoptive children who will have horrific stories of people who were watching them because they don't have those genetic bonds. They don't have the time as well. Like, so they lose the two things that matter in forming relationships. They don't have as much time as other people do, and they don't have the genetic link. So they don't have that internalized link to the child. And I think there's a real risk. I've heard too many stories of kids being abused by people who are supposed to be choosing to love them, and that's a hard place to be. And that's not a slight to those people either, because they're probably not setting out to harm the child, but they end up doing it because they just were ill prepared, both mentally, physically, and physiologically for it. So be on your guard, man. If you're choosing to do it, choose to do it 110% of the time. That makes sense.
Every kid needs a dad.
Yep.
And some kids' dads fall down on the job. And I know lots of kids who are raised by non-biological men who say they're more my dad than my biological father.
Yes.
Because he came in and he fathered me. So I'm just saying that might be a little pie in the sky and golly gee, but in fact, it can work. It does work. The kid needs a dad. The Bible does say to guard your heart. So I agree with what Nick says. Look out for yourself also, but it also says it's not good for man to be alone.
Yeah.
So a woman having kids to me is not a non-starter. Those kids need someone in the house, sit there and protect them. Some guy breaks in, and my kids are biological, and they may turn around and say, I don't know you and I hate you, Dad. So biological kids screw up, step kids screw up. Life's a mess.
Yeah, and it was certainly not meant to convey that it can't be done or shouldn't be done or anything like that. It was literally go do it. Just as you're doing it, guard against those things that people might not tell you to watch out for.
Have your eyes open.
Yeah, and talk. I mean, if you really want advice on that, talk to foster parents. Talk to parents who have done it. Talk to social workers about. As stupid as this sounds, and I hate myself for saying it, the counties offer classes to foster and adoptive parents that about parenting that covers a lot of this stuff and talks about the real risks that are out there. Go take one of those classes. Usually they're playing a video by an expert. Don't listen to what the morons giving the class are saying as much as you listen to the expert. But I'm mostly kidding. Those people have seen horrific things, and they deal with them on a daily basis. And they're from a lot of times the people who are stepping in to love the child because they're not guarded and they're not prepared. So go do it. Just do it prepared. That's all I'm saying. That's the main thing. Yeah. But other than that,
life's messy.
I echo what Doug said.
Life is messy.
Kids need dads, and there we can joke about cucks and stuff all day, but a dad who steps in to watch a kid that doesn't have a dad, that's a good guy.
Well, and being a dad is the best job in the world.
Yes.
I mean, really. So, to these guys that are looking at being stepdads, if you do it right, hell, even if you don't do it right, you just do it adequately, you'll get a lot of positive benefit as well as the child.
Right.
Yeah.
No.
Okay, we've got Brian Z says, I'm from a small town. RIP. A classmate passed in high school, then another did a few years after we were out of school, both in car accidents. The first I wasn't close to, but the second was my brother's friend. Both I went to the visitation and the funeral for my friends. Yeah, me too, buddy. Same story, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Same story. Both were in high school for me. And yeah, one I was kind of close to her. Listening to her dad talk was awful. And then the second one, my buddy was in the car, and I actually thought my buddy had died until we got the news from the hospital that my buddy was the only one in the car who was relatively okay. And so I went to that guy's funeral. I didn't know him at all, but I went there for my friend. I echo that. Go. Gay and Still at Large says, Doug, I got my copy of Earthworm Jim 2 days ago. Was going to just read a few pages and the rest later, but I ended up finishing it as soon as I opened the box. So that's cool. For the dads, thoughts on letting your boys play football? Lots of parents vote nay for safety. What do you think, guys? I actually don't know. My kids are way too small. If they tried to play football, they'd be turned away at the gate. So they're all twerpy like I was. So
yeah, my kids are a little scrawny for that too. Or think of it like if your kid wanted to buy a motorcycle, would you allow it? And
Well, my kids are girls, so
yeah.
What if they wanted to play
girl football?
But Larry, what if they wanted to play in the LFL?
I never really gave that much thought. I guess I would probably discourage them in some way. Those guys, a lot of them do get their brains scrambled. It's just, if I had a son, I would discourage him from becoming, a prize fighter.
Do you know what the LFL is? It's the
What is it,
lingerie football league.
Yeah, I wouldn't want him in that or the lingerie league either. I might add. I discourage that too. It's. But what are you going to do? I guess you know what. There's always going to be people who will totally be down with that. People. I used to see that both my daughters played a lot of sports, and one of them still does in school. And some of the parents, I used to really fucking spin my head. I'd see these people that were just obsessed. They're out of their goddamn minds. They take these little girl soccer games and softball games so seriously. They're ready to come to blows, and I just can't relate to that shit. I just can't. So it's not a part of my world. Never was, never will be. That's them. They're over there, and they're not. It's just not something I consider.
I would encourage a boy to engage in team sports, including football, because of the benefits, learning teamwork, learning leadership, learning how to, deal with adversity. There's a lot of positive things that come out of these team sports, but
learning how to get concussions.
Concussions.
Yeah. But again, I mean,
I showed them pads.
That sort of comes with growing up. I mean, especially for boys, and I do think it's different with boys and girls. I don't know that girls get the same package of benefits that boys can. Now, all that's caveated with don't be those kind of parents like Larry's describing, because those people ought to be shot.
Yeah.
Well, because they're trying to live their life through their child.
Yeah.
Right. It's one of the worst forms of selfishness that a parent can have. It's all about them, I mean, but Brianna won 10 karate tournaments in a row, and that wasn't.
Wow.
I mean,
That's impressive.
She was. My favorite story on that was, because I didn't want to be one of those parents, right?
Yeah.
So I would just go to the class and watch, and I had 8 years of Taekwondo. Grew up in East Texas with the name Percy. That's and my parents started me to school a year early. So So that guy in the Johnny Cash song, he didn't have anything on him. But anyway, so Brianna she was at the time, she's very tall now, but at the time she was kind of shortish, and I'll never forget. She got real discouraged. They were sparring, and she went up against several girls that were bigger than her, and they pounded her pretty good. And she's got her dad in her, so she's very competitive. And we get home, and she's all moping. And I said, "Honey, keep your gi on." So I go back to my closet, and I can kind of hear the montage song playing, as I open up the old door, and I put my old gi on. And I was like, "Crap, this thing doesn't fit." So, get my black belt out, and I'm like, crap, it won't fit either. So I finally found my last black belt that sort of fits. And I went outside and said, let's go out in the yard. And so I started working with her on sparring, and very quickly she caught on as to how to do it. But
she learned to never kick above the waist because you just weren't that flexible anymore.
Well, no, there's a funny, Well, what I taught her was aggression, right? Because the way scoring works in modern martial arts, it's all point based. You score a point, you stop. When I did it, it was like a boxing match. You just kept going, and that allowed the shorter guys to have a chance. But anyway, I taught her. But to that point, I remember one day I'm hobbling around the office like, oh God, limping, hobbling. One of my good clients comes in, he walks in and goes, what happened to you? And I turn around and I got a little bit of a shiner right here. He goes, what happened? I said, well, that's my fault. I was out in the yard working with Brianna on her footwork, and I wasn't paying attention, and she just caught me, She caught me, And he goes, you're getting too old for that kind of stuff. I said, man, don't I know it? but I mean, that was, that's a sport that is not without risk. I mean, you can get your teeth knocked out and all that. But I think that, almost anything that you do outside has risk to it. Actually, cheerleading, I think, is one of the most dangerous of all the sports for teenagers.
Well, it is, but it depends on the type of injury. And I think the thing that they're starting to find with football specifically or at least they're starting to claim, I don't know, is that, and it's probably because the protection has gotten so good that the hits really are getting harder, and the damage is manifesting in really terrifying ways. This isn't like a torn ACL, like a cheerleading or a twisted ankle. It's a suicide that happens when the kid's in college.
Well, I mean, my statement would be caveated on if there's actual research to back up the idea that we're talking serious brain damage, that type thing, even at the high school and junior high level, then of course I would change my position on that. Yes, the hits are it's kinetic energy.
Yeah.
One half mass velocity squared. So when a kid gets 20% faster, the hit gets about 44% harder. You know, I mean, it just, and today kids are bigger, they're stronger, they're faster due to training and nutrition and everything else. The NFL runs into that in the worst way too. But so with the caveat, if there's valid research that there's a serious risk of that kind of permanent harm, I would say, well, no. Mm-hmm. Go find it.
I'd let him play, but only because I think the positives outweigh the negatives.
Yeah.
And I say that without the kid, getting traumatic brain injury. But the risk of that, it's not like 100% of them get brain injury.
No.
But all of them get that great benefit that Ty's talking about with being on a team and getting some discipline and exercise and stuff. I do think the good still outweighs the bad risk, but it is a risk. And a terrible risk when you're messing with a kid, shaking a kid's brain up.
I think the biggest problem with the risk part of it is that for so long they've refused to acknowledge the risk, and they haven't.
Yeah.
They haven't. People are going into it thinking that there isn't any, and that's what I'll talk about the football injury and all that stuff all the time. Always caveated with, as long as the people are informed, that's on them at that point. If you want to go to the NFL and wear your body out by the time you're 38, go do it. Like, great, go do it. You're making that choice to do that. And on that note, I think I'm fully in support of the college players being able to do endorsements and stuff like California is finally doing.
Yeah.
Because those college players have been exploited hard for
they're bought and sold. They might as
millions
well
of
join
dollars.
the business. Yeah.
And they don't get any of it. So now they get a piece of the pie. And the worst, Doug, your friends over at EA Games, making NCAA 2019, 2020, 2021, using all these kids' names and likenesses without their permission, because the NCAA gave them permission, and they don't get a penny of it.
They don't get a dime of it. Yeah, that's crooked. Crooked.
As a parent, though, one of the things I always worry, it's the hardest thing as a parent, I think you guys would agree, to let your kids take risks, right? I mean, I'll never forget the first day Brianna got her driver's license. That was the worst day of my life. I mean, not that I had that she was a reckless driver or anything, but when you're a parent and you're saying to yourself, I'm not going to let them do that because it's dangerous. Ask yourself, is that really the reason? Or are you just refusing to do your job as a parent and do the cost benefit? And sometimes you have to let them do things that you really wish you didn't have to let them do it. Driving is to me the perfect example.
If you don't want them to drive, just buy them a smart car.
Yeah. They never have any wrecks or anything.
Just try and pick up chicks in a smart car. Well, at least you'll get a skinny one. That's good. Cabria Cousin says, happy holidays to the Chad Dads. Ty wins due to the Slytherin sweater. # House Pride.
True.
House Pride, huh? Is that like do you guys have parades?
House
Ty?
Slytherin, yeah. Do you slither down the road?
Well, do you have pride parades in your house, Ty?
No.
Yes, shame, Slytherin shame.
I missed the whole reference. I was sitting there going, private.
The Dark Knight says, love is for losers who are too afraid to be alone. Stay free, gents. Your well-being is above all. Simping for women is inexcusable, Doug. Boycott marriage. Long live the free man and long live. Congrats, Vic, on the new win. So there you go.
That's a lot to unpack.
There's a lot of stuff there. Well, let's start. Who wants
I
to
hear the James Bond theme behind that somewhere.
You're talking to 4 married men.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, this is an interesting thing, and I kind of want to talk to you guys about this a little bit too. I'm about to go on the 19th. I've been invited onto the Kill Stream to debate a guy I've never heard of by the name of Vince James. Apparently, some semi-prominent right-wing talker, and we're supposed to debate the limits of free speech. And the interesting thing is, I don't know what position Vince has, so I'm just going in with my position, which is that maximum speech, minimum restriction is the ethos, and then we figure out from there what that means. But the reason I bring this up is because there's this. How am I tying this in? There's a lot of evidence, empirical evidence, that marriage is wholly beneficial to men. Like absolutely beneficial.
Oh, yeah.
Not just like some esoteric sort of way, but with hard numbers. You're more likely to have a job. You have a higher net income.
You live longer, less depression.
Right. But we've got a movement, and that movement is based on fear. And this is where I'm kind of getting to that whole speech issue. That movement is somewhat based on fear, and the fear is that engagement with women will end up costing you something big, or could. It's the risk versus reward sort of thing, and there is a risk to all things. But now guys are being told that, or experiencing that the risk wasn't worth the reward, or that the risk was higher than the likely successes. And I find that interesting. And the way I'm tying that into speech is the reason I'm doing this debate is predicated on this new movement amongst the right to ban, to ban pornography.
I'm one of those, Nick. I'm one of those.
Well, you can be, but if you, from a speech perspective, like on the free speech grounds, I just don't see how we reconcile that, because if we say that pornography is too accessible and damaging and blah, 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 and we have to ban it, then we have to ask what else is too accessible and damaging and that we have to ban it. And then whoever is
child porn.
Well, child porn I'm not a fan of, but it's not based on the speech aspect of it. It's based on the increased victimization of the children.
But it is still speech, and you're going to make that same slippery slope argument that I made 2 steps before, is my point. So we do all draw a line.
Well, I don't know, because the problem with child porn, and this is the logic behind it, is that the market for child pornography increases the risk of victimization of a minor. Now, you can argue that pornography increases the risk of victimization of an adult, but they're an adult making that decision. And there's a big difference between those two things.
But there is still harm. So whether if it's harm on an adult or harm on a kid, there's still harm. There's
lots of harm, though, in speech. Like there's lots of harm in me fat shaming some chick. Lots of harm in that.
Yeah.
And I have no problem with the fact that there's harm in that. And I don't think that there should be any sort of legal repercussion for it. And there's lots of harm in racist speech, for example. But I don't think that we want to go out and try and ban racism. I don't want it around.
To me, the only question that matters is not what we have our opinion on where this should go. What matters is, what did the founders mean by protecting free speech? And there's no way in hell they meant to protect it in the name of harming another. That was not the purpose. Was to allow open debate of opposing political ideas and opposing religious ideas or philosophical ideas that have a content to them. And that content cannot be found usually in hate speech, in racist speech, in pornography. It's not, I don't think it qualifies as speech, so it doesn't qualify as something that needs to be protected.
But racist speech and hate speech were absolutely part of the founders' lexicon, as was pornography.
Yeah, I think
it was different.
Part of the problem with hate speech is that it is so subjective.
Yeah.
Pornography really, despite the judge, the classic formulation of "I can't define it, but I know it when I see it." Pornography is actually pretty easy to define.
But that's not what they were defining. They were defining obscenity.
Well,
and they were saying that the obscenity has no artistic value or merit.
Well, right. And obscenity, by the way, is another one of those very subjective terms, right? I don't think I personally have a problem.
No, it's well defined, Ty. It's anything that appeals solely to the prurient interest. Come on, it's actually in the decision. What are you talking about?
So are Larry's pointy chicks, are they obscene? You know, I mean, and the answer is probably so to some people.
Yeah.
But I mean, you know, the thing about pornography is you can actually come up with a relatively objective definition. You know, you can nudity, the sexual act, yada yada yada. I mean, you can actually get a pretty solid definition down. I don't know that it actually is the most destructive thing to our democracy if we say, you know, you can't stream porn over the internet. I don't really see the slippery slope where that leads to banning political speech. I don't know that
It's not about banning political speech at all, though.
Well, but
it's about why are we banning pornography?
But I hold with Doug on this. I think the founders were concerned with. I think the Supreme Court has it right. You know, they apply strict scrutiny to any kind of infringement of political speech, right? and then they have lower levels of scrutiny for commercial speech and of course historically obscenity hasn't been protected at all hardly.
Right, but obscenity is that which is only for the prurient interest. Now the interesting question is, does modern
prurient interest mean?
Oh, how do you not know this? What kind of lawyer are you?
Well, no. But what I mean is okay. The problem is though, you'd have to read somebody's mind to actually be able to objectively assess that, right?
Right,
it
because
appeals only to prurient interest. No, I have friends who are artists, genuine artists who love, who paint the nude female form, right? Yeah. Is that prurient interest? I would argue not.
Well, clearly that's not.
But the problem with prurient interest is it's also going to vary wildly from person to person, and that's a poor basis.
You've just defeated your own argument, though, because now you're trying to apply how it applies to you.
What I'm saying, I'm saying that obscenity and pornography are not the same thing. That obscenity is relatively subjective. I think pornography probably can be pretty objectively defined.
Well, let's define it.
Please don't make me do it because I'll blush. But
let's do it. Let's define it now. Because we have to figure out what we're going to ban.
Look at the motion picture code for the difference between an R-rated film and an X-rated film.
Oh, no, that's not very good at all. There's tons of X-rated films that don't have enough boobs in them.
Well, agreed. But what I mean is I kind of fall midway between both of you guys on this. I don't think that that banning pornography outright, I don't think the Constitution cares about pornography. All right. So if you want to argue that it's unwise to ban pornography because of the slippery slope, once you start doing that, you're going to start banning other things that shouldn't be banned. Okay, that's an argument to make and to discuss. I think it's a bit of a stretch, though, like Doug suggests, to say that the founders intended for the First Amendment to protect Pornhub.
To protect choke porn and furry porn.
Or any porn.
I don't think you mean. And Nick, I would the best, and I'm trying to make a strongman argument for what the conservatives are actually arguing. This is not.
These are not conservatives arguing this, by the way. Don't get wrapped up in that. Believe me, conservatives may be latching on to this argument. The people running this are not conservative at all. This is coming from
the conservatives that I'm reading that are going back to what the founders are saying. They're trying to make a good legal principle, and their number one reason for it is that most people's access to porn comes between 9 and 11 years old. This goes back to your argument that you made against child porn, which is that children are having access to this public forum.
No, that's not my argument against child porn. My argument
is that it harms kids.
It harms the kids who are being put into the child porn. That's a vastly different question.
And it fosters the adults. Because would you be for synthetic child porn where no child was actually used in the acting, but they have
CGI.
like realistic robots to cultivate that audience? Is that the good that the government should be that the Constitution should be protecting?
I don't know.
This is the divide on the right, Nick.
And to answer your question, I don't know, because what the idea with the existing child pornography is that if there's child pornography out there, that it will create a market to create more. If there is consumption, they will create more, which it does, and it's putting children into those videos. Now, if there's a video out there of a guy banging a child sex robot, I mean, I guess I, in theory, don't really care.
Or animation that's widespread and spread throughout culture. That is legally defensible under free speech.
Yeah, and
constitutional.
And I don't like lolly. I don't like it at all. I think it's horrifying. At the same time, I have real trouble banning drawn art of any kind.
I have no problem with it. I just think that
you don't have to. Yeah. I'm just telling you where I'm coming from.
I seriously doubt that the societal harm from drawn art is all that significant. Nick, I would urge you to split up the argument between is it constitutional and is it wise. I think you probably can make a very strong argument that it's unwise. I don't know that I'd agree with you necessarily, but I think you can. I think the constitutional side of it is awfully weak.
No, it isn't. No way. The constitutional argument from an originalist perspective might be,
and that's where I come from.
But we can't do an originalist perspective on this, or else we open ourselves up to the idea that the founders had a lot of things in their original perspective that we don't adhere to at all, because it all changed during Reconstruction and the passage of the 14th Amendment. And you know that to be true. You don't want it to be true on this issue.
No, I really don't know that to be true. I'm trying to parse through it.
It's hard to say that the founders.
It's crystal clear to anybody that reads any of the writings of the founders. Their concern was what I'm going to call political speech, which, by the way, encompasses a lot of stuff that the modern left calls hate speech. And you are correct when you're cautioning Doug. No, this isn't being driven as much by the conservatives as it is by essentially the feminists. They're furious about it.
We've got it's also coming from the far right as opposed to the conservative right.
Yeah, but it's one of those weird issues that does not break cleanly on the right-left divide. You've got, like my classic example, little old Smith County, Texas, was dry for many, many years. But we paid more liquor taxes than anywhere except for the large cities in Texas. But every 10 or 15 years or so, there'd be a vote in our county to make liquor legal, the sale of liquor legal here. And so you would have this bizarre alliance between the area churches and the liquor store owners on the county line.
Yeah.
They would think, that's what I love about democracy. It brings people together.
But one of the problems is that, for example, if you're trying to take the originalist perspective, and I love the originalist perspective, I think it's very informative, and I think it can guide us on a lot of things. I don't think it's absolute, because we run into weird issues like freedom of religion. Like, I don't want the state dictating my religion. And I mean that, like, I don't want Minnesota dictating my religion, right? But up until the passage of the 14th Amendment, states could. States absolutely could.
That's the interesting point. But remember, too, that most of the state constitutions had comparable protections.
Most of the state constitutions at the time of the passage of the national constitution had a mandated state religion. The only one that didn't was Rhode Island.
Religion, I agree. I was thinking more like, for example, the right to keep and bear arms. That almost identical language appears in oddly enough, I think, in the Massachusetts Constitution.
Yeah, and a lot of other ones as well.
Well, what I'm saying is that just because something might be constitutional doesn't necessarily mean it's wise. Okay. I fall on the line of no. I don't think the First Amendment protects pornography, but I do think there's a conversation that needs to be had as to whether or not it's wise to ban it. Mm-hmm. And that conversation will go however it goes. I think way too often we just decide, it's bad.
Well, or make an argument that it's wise to legalize it and keep, choke porn available to kids.
Right.
You think choke porn is bad now? Wait till it's illegal.
Yeah, I'm not arguing it either way. I'm saying that I think there's a tendency to decide that, well, just because if the Constitution protects it, therefore it's wise. Those two things are different.
Sure.
Those two things have a different basis. And of course, as a parent, my attitude on a lot of things changed.
Yeah.
No, I mean, really, that's.
No, I'm with you.
When I was a single male, I was a very strong abortion proponent. Mm-hmm. Funny thing is, when we had our first child, my position on that became a lot more complicated. So guys out there, when you have children, a lot of things that you believe in now, you will reassess, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's part of growing up.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. I'm really interested to.
Yeah, I'm to see how you do it too.
I don't know what this guy's like at all, so I'm sure it's going to be a great and productive discussion. Very fruitful.
Well, if they're bringing you in, though, they know your position, though, right, Nick?
Our discussion is not about pornography. It's just this is what sparked the series of shows that Ralph is doing on the Kill Stream about speech in general.
Yeah.
Well, remember just a suggestion. Remember this point too, that allowing completely unlimited speech will also increase the likelihood of dueling becoming a big thing again.
And what's wrong with that?
Yeah, nothing. I wish they'd bring it back. Yeah. I even drafted up a statute for a state senator friend of mine to decriminalize manslaughter.
So I wanted to. Oh, go ahead.
Well, this is in response also to there's a new, I think it's out of Kentucky, but there's a new group of legislators who are bringing in laws against pornography. They're trying to push them, but all the arguments made are based on obscenity laws that are currently on the books. So should we currently promote laws that are on the books? That's all they're doing is they're trying to press them into service.
This is the interesting question, right? Because porn is very different today than it was in 1980, 1990, right? Like, you guys have seen Boogie Nights, some of you. And Boogie Nights, right? Like, Dirk Diggler's about the story. Like, he really is. And they're producing these films that happen to involve sexual activity that's explicit. But today, and this is where I would go with the argument. I don't agree with it necessarily, but where I would go is that no, obscenity is this prurient interest standard that we have. But look at this; these don't even have throwaway pizza delivery guy plots anymore. It's just
why bother with the plot?
The only reason they bothered with the plots and created Dirk Digglers was so that they could circumvent the obscenity laws.
Right, you had to have.
Well, this is art. There's a story here, and this is a part of it's intrinsic to telling the story. Okay, that's the only. Those guys would have been much happier just to do splooge stuff like they do now without with any artifice whatsoever.
Right, but at least they had to try.
It's like, what? I'm really sick and tired of the word ban. I am so sick of hearing people say ban this and ban that. I think everybody should just butt the fuck out.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm with you.
I like ban child porn. Ban child porn.
Dig it, man. You could take a walk through the streets of Pompeii and see etchings of anything that you'd find on Pornhub thousands of years ago. It is never going away. It has always been a part of human life. It always will be. Banning that is idiotic as banning drugs. People will find a way to get high, no matter what.
that goes to the wisdom argument, right? Say nothing of the political wisdom. I guarantee you, if your political party is going to come out and say we're gonna get rid of internet porn, you're going to get slaughtered electorally. I mean, you just are. There are too many people that consume that and enjoy it. It's politically unwise, regardless of whatever merits it might have societally. My opinion. But if you're uncertain, I think you should tend towards don't ban.
I'm for banning. Ban screwing dogs. Yeah. Ban child porn.
Well,
You guys are only for banning, which is an incoherent argument.
Actually, if you ban
everybody
banning, you're allowing banning.
You want your bans, I want my ban.
Well, all kidding aside, the idea that you have to be absolutely and totally quote logically consistent is ridiculous in the real world. Yeah. Of course, we can ban child pornography and not ban other types of porn. Are you kidding me?
But isn't that already banned? And
it is.
And the creeps are still cranking it out. I mean,
they are. Yeah.
Right.
Well, you need to. It's like the gun laws. I mean, you need to enforce what's already on the records. You don't have to create new stuff. Just enforce what's already there.
No, that's true too. But
yeah, and I think one of the arguments I've seen is that that asking for the ban of pornography is abdicating our responsibility as parents to protect our children.
That's right.
And I do think that's part of it, right? Like there are tools to protect the internet in your household from pornography, and I don't want to put them on my computer. Like, I don't want to stop. Like, I don't want to do it because it's a pain. I don't want to do it.
And the tools don't work, or they ban all kinds of stuff besides that. I mean, that's
that's a funny metaphor, isn't it?
That argument was valid whenever the main source of pornography for young boys, at least, was a Playboy magazine.
Sure,
that's a physical thing that your parents can probably keep that out of the house. You can't keep.
No, they can't
keep that stuff off. I mean,
they never could, and you know it, Ty.
but it wasn't anywhere near as widespread or available today.
Right,
and a kid goes to another kid's house, and his parents have more lax rules, and he can look at whatever he wants.
Well, and you got the technological. You got the other problem too, that kids are infinitely more technologically sophisticated than their parents. So asking parents that know virtually nothing about how to set up a website or how the internet works or anything else, asking them to police children who have grown up with that stuff, that's ridiculous.
When did you guys first see pornography?
Probably you sneak dad's Playboys when you're 10, you're 9 or 10.
Okay, when did you first see hardcore pornography?
Not until the internet. By then I was 30. I mean, I was in my 30s.
That was the first time, really?
All of my kids who have access to a laptop have seen hardcore pornography by the time they were probably 11 or 12.
Wow.
And that includes one kid who saw a black man screwing a car, hitting the tailpipe.
Well, I mean... Look, you guys out there looking for chicks, you don't even have to worry about it.
On a school computer. So my point is, isn't the government, if the government has a job to protect its citizens, like the same way that I can't go to your kids and go to your school and say, let me tell you, Jesus died for your sins. Like that's illegal for me to do to them in their school. Why are you allowed to pump your filth all over the internet to everybody to access? I'm just saying the same way that I am limited, I'm saying let's limit your views from my kids, because I can't pump what I believe into your kids' heads. So don't pump what you believe into my kids' heads.
Or into my car's tailpipe. That's disgusting.
They have a right to freedom from pornography. Freedom from pornography.
Yeah.
Well,
and the idea that police your own kids, hey, fine. So if some guy's out screwing a dog on your front yard and you go, hey, don't screw your dog on my front yard. And he looks at you and says, hey, police your own kids. Be a good parent. Keep them from going outside. It's like, I think there should be a moniker of freedom in the public space. And the internet is it public space or is it private?
Well, that's a really good question. It's private.
Is it a public utility?
If you're getting the government involved in that, that's the wrong cop. Okay. There have been, I can remember when my kids were toddlers, there was a huge billboard on Ventura Boulevard, not far from my home. And it was just like, I looked at the thing and said, what? And it was, of course, it was state sponsored. It was the state of California. And it was a guy, some sort of, gangbanger looking sleazebag's face on this thing. And the tagline was something like, if she's under 18, it's not sex, it's rape. And I can remember, my kid looked at me, what's that? And why is this idiot state of California doing this? As if some rapist is driving along there in his pickup truck and he's going to see that billboard go, I think I'll keep it in my pants. No, I don't want the state getting involved in that because the state is stupid. Yeah. The state is stupid. Okay, so I'm on the side of, just get your shit. That's porn. Okay, that billboard was state-sponsored porn, as far as I'm concerned. Okay, there's no way I could get that out of my kid's field of view. I don't have to give my kid a laptop. I don't have to give them internet access. True. They're going to have to go out and buy a Playboy. So the state's going to police pornography when this is what they're putting out? No, thank you.
It's interesting. So I want to bring this back because we got way off into the weeds. But this was about, and that's my fault. It's my fault. I take all responsibility.
We blame you.
Everything is your fault.
I know.
We blame you.
I know. So this started though with a discussion about love being for losers and simping.
We really did kind of go off, didn't we?
Boycotting marriage. Now, I dragged us off rails because I think in the same way that banning football is bad, I think the idea of banning pornography is bad. I think there is risk, and I think there is damage, and I think I don't know that we can protect our kids from everything, and I think we have to equip them to deal with things. But at the same time, like to give some deference to Doug, because I don't fully disagree with you. I say my perspective on speech and my perspective on government in general is maximum freedom with minimum incursion, but there is a minimum incursion, and finding what that minimum incursion is our job. Like, that's the role of society and the legislature, is to figure out, okay, where do we want governance to step in and do this? And unfortunately, we've had legislators who are like, I'm stepping in and doing this everywhere. But the reality is, whatever the founders actually believed, they gave us a system where the idea was, when we want government to step in and do this, we can implement that in some way. We just have to get there. So I don't know. But I was bringing this in. It was because of all of the beneficial things about marriage, and then that are objective. Is there anything else we want to say about this newfound hatred of marriage and the relationship? Okay, Ty, what's up?
Mr. Cotta, calling me.
It's Horseshack.
Yeah, a reference that nobody except us.
Nobody, only
even young Nick probably doesn't.
No
even get
idea.
That
What are you talking about?
Nothing. Don't worry about it.
Good. I had several old jokes queued up.
I would, yeah. This is what I've said to my daughters from time to time when I've had to give them advice on things. And, when you have daughters today, you obviously want them to be strong, independent women and yada, 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 and all that stuff. But you also, men and women are different. And you've got to, you got to thread that needle a little bit with them too. But what I would say to people who are saying ban marriage, that crap, and guys, it's crap. You're going against biology when you do that kind of stuff. And I'm not saying you can't override your biology, but you're putting yourself at a huge disadvantage, because biology wins about 90% of the time. And so marriage is, like it or not, we're wired to want companionship. We're wired to want to be married. I offer Tom Cruise as the ultimate example of that. You know, that's a guy who never, ever, ever had to get married because he literally would have had a buffet of gorgeous women for the rest of his life. Yet, what was it, a year after Nicole Kidman, 6 months after he split with Nicole Kidman, he's, you know, got him another one. I mean, we're wired to want to be married. He keeps picking
Catholic chicks. That's his problem.
Do what?
Yeah,
I said he keeps picking Catholic chicks. I was joking.
Yeah. But I mean, do you guys see my point though? That, you know, you could say I'm gonna, you know, anti-marriage. Fine. You're probably not going to succeed. And here's the thing: why would you devote yourself to an ideology that you're likely going to fail at? And that will also probably damage your chances of doing it right. You know, am I making any sense at all, or is it a
little bit?
Okay.
To be fair,
you're all just kind of sitting there going,
well, listen, I've moved on to the Johnnie Walker whiskey, so
baby.
I'm at that point where sure, man. What was that, Larry?
Which color label?
Oh, no, it's garbage color. Johnnie Walker Song of Fire Game of Thrones edition.
Oh man, that's
Don't you ever lecture me again about Jack Daniels.
That's a tchotchke.
No. I
you know,
my darling wife bought this, and so now I'm just trying to slog through it.
It had a dragon on the label.
The Winter Walker Johnnie Walker is the white label or whatever that you put in the freezer because that masks the flavor. They tell you, like, put it in the freezer. It makes it taste great. It's like, which means it makes it not taste as garbage. But so then it was like, well, maybe this one's better. It's not. This isn't better. They don't recommend putting it in the freezer, so it just tastes like trash.
So you're not going to be drinking like wine coolers and crap like that next time we all get together, right?
Yeah, only fuzzy navels from now on.
Oh, God, yeah.
Oh, dear. Put an umbrella in it.
Yeah.
There you go.
And six thin sliced pineapples in it as well. Okay. Anyway, did Larry or Doug, did you guys want to say any final thoughts on marriage or disavowing marriage or anything like that?
Well, I guess I'm a little confused. I mean, I haven't seen that. Maybe I've been just missing that there's, I take it there's a movement afoot to there's outlaw marriage or what's going on?
McGow or whatever it is, men going their own way.
Oh, that MGTOW shit. Oh, that's what you're talking about.
Like Coach Red Pill. Do you guys remember Coach Red Pill? He got demonetized the other day. Really, really unfortunate.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think, there's always going to be people with views like that. And I guess I kind of get that. And I think with people, it's what we're talking about is painting things with a broad brush. Okay. If you should luck out and find some woman that's right for you, then marriage is a great thing. However, if you're one of the 50% of unfortunates who choose unwisely, it's a goddamn nightmare.
Yeah.
So so is marriage good? Yeah, with the right person. With the wrong person, it's a disaster, and it will ruin your life. I don't see, it pencils out to me.
I like that. No, that's good.
The greatest institution I'm involved with is my marriage. We'll be celebrating 30 years next year.
Congrats.
And it's.
Oh wow.
I probably wouldn't want to live if I wasn't married.
Us too, Doug, by the way.
To my wife, she saves me. I don't deserve her. I think it's the high mark, the great goal. We may not hit it, but it is the best when you find it. If you find the right one, then there's nothing sweeter, nothing better. And I think it's what I indulge myself in is my marriage, and I hope the same for you, that you'll find the same thing. I think you'd be blown away when you find that person who not only you go, man, I want to spend my whole life with this one, and she says, I want to spend my whole life with you, and it works. Huge.
Yeah.
But truthfully, don't you want to go, are you sure?
Are you positive?
No, Ty, don't ever give them a second to doubt this.
Right.
You made it this far. Don't spike at the 1.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's kind of.
Yeah, and that said, I have a good friend who just this week told me that he was getting a divorce after 26 years and 2 kids, and so it doesn't always work. But man, I'm glad I took the risk.
Well, that's the whole thing. There's no certainties on any of this stuff.
No.
Just like I would say to everybody, you have to be married. It's equally stupid to say don't ever be married. I mean.
Oh man, I got an email the other day that I've meant to address more fully. If you're watching, I can't remember your name. I'll try and respond to your email later. The guy he's been living with his girlfriend for a significant amount of time, but they're finally gonna hitch up and make it official. And it was so cute. Bless his heart. He said that he was pretty, sure that they knew each other and weren't going to change and all of that stuff.
Oh,
and
really?
I wanted to speak out to that because this is the thing. And Doug, you mentioned your friend is going to get divorced after 26 years. And I have no idea about the circumstances. Who knows what they are? But what I'll say is, in light of that, it takes work every single day of being married. Like, because it is, I'm with you. It's the greatest institution I'm involved in. I don't know what I would do without my spouse. I really don't. I can't picture, like, especially with each successive children, I can't even remember what it was like having 4 kids. And then I can't remember what it was like having 3. And I can't imagine what it would be like if I had to go back to one of those things. So that being said, there are days that are really difficult. And those days take specific effort. And I'll say it's an everyday task. And so and you will change, like you and your spouse will change over the years. And my God, if you think you won't, just look at how much different you are now than you were a year or 2 ago. And so to my friend who emailed me and asked about that, the one thing I will say about marriage is that I don't care how long you've been living together, marriage or no marriage, you guys will change. Your relationship will change. You will not be married to the same person today in 5 years. You will not, no matter how what you do. And preparing for that, knowing that, and working around that is the key to the successful marriage. And the hardest part of that, though, is the key requires a lock that is doing the same thing, where the pins are changing with your key, or your key is changing with their pins, however you want to put it.
Is that a metaphor?
It is. It's one of those. It's liquor infused
innuendo
metaphor.
Also. So.
Yeah, it was. Thank you, Doug, for catching
back with
that.
the porn again?
Yep. Look, and if you're ramming that key in and out, you're gonna wear out the pins.
I'm leaning more towards Doug now.
But no, I want to very clearly say that Lady Rackets and I are vastly different people than we were 15 and a half years ago when we got married. Vastly different. And we change in shocking ways. It creeps up on you. And you suddenly look at the person, you go, you could do this 2 ways. You're not the person I married. Or, thank God that's not the person I married.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to be married to Lady Rackets when she was 21. I don't. I'm in a different place. I can't stand talking to 21-year-olds most of the time anymore. And she certainly wouldn't want to be married to me when I was 23, I guess. That we're different, and you should be. But anyway, sorry. Dia Stryker says a person with measurements made via non-Euclidean mathematics is called a great old one. Do what you will with that knowledge. Oh no, you're trying to get me banned.
Yeah.
Paul Gianuzio says, "Hey Nick, is Mars Girl still off Twitter? No, she's on an alt, I believe. Also, Ty, add her to the second round and Anime News Network after you're done with Funny and Company. Let's worry about round 1 for now.
Yeah, let's get round 1 in the can.
Ryan Mercado says, hello, everyone, including the chat. How are you all doing? Drinking some Jack Daniels for the stream today, heretic. Also, Nick in the chat, dads, you are all late and gay, back to federal prison. Rude. Dia Striker says, I'm a single father of 2 boys. I broke off relationships because they didn't like who I was going out with and have dodged bad relationships when a kid needed me and my date got pissed for me trying to reschedule the date. Yeah,
yes, that's a good sign. I mean, yeah.
You are Neo in the Matrix, buddy. Dodging bullets with those.
Good man.
No kidding.
Seth says, I'm at the point where I think I want kids now that I'm generally successful. The problem is she is 5 years younger than I, mid-20s, and she doesn't think she does. I think she's still wrestling with self-identity. What do? Ooh.
Oh, that's an easy one.
Oh, yes.
No.
Thank God. We have Larry here. Fix it.
Yes.
Just, grab one of those big, who the hell was that rapper that used to wear that huge clock around his neck and a chain? Flava Flav. Just get yourself one of those things and shove it right in her face and say, baby, listen to this tick. You've got 10, 12, 14 good years, max.
Your ovaries are turning into raisins.
Exactly.
No, actually, the clock ticks by itself. So give her 5 years and she'll feel it more than you.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, absolutely.
It will go.
Well, and
by the time
worry.
she's 30, she won't even be able to hear herself think for the tick of that clock.
Yeah.
And don't worry, your boys are good for longer than her girls are.
That's right.
Oh.
So you can play the waiting game a little bit.
She has a clock, you don't.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, Asmodeus.
By the way, have you watched The Mandalorian? You guys watch? I'm serious. Have you?
I never want to give relationship advice through Star Wars.
No, listen.
Here comes Ty. Here comes Ty throwing down. Here comes.
No, seriously. It's a great space western, but that Baby Yoda character is absolutely designed to appeal to women.
Oh,
Yeah, just tell her kid will look like that.
Well, no, listen,
that little disgusting mutant's going to come out all green and withered.
No, you don't understand. You need to watch that show with women sometime. It's to the point where my daughters and my wife now joke about it. It's like, we don't care about any of this stuff. We're worried about the baby.
I watch that show with my whole family, and every time Baby Yoda comes on screen, I just say it to myself. I go, Baby Yoda.
Yeah,
I have to say his name every time he comes on. Every time the shot comes back to me.
Doug,
Baby Yoda.
Am I joking?
No, it's the cutest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, it is clinically designed for that.
Yeah. Last night's episode 6, he has like the funniest moment when he looks at his hand. I'm like, it just killed me.
That show is improbably good, but seriously, to the stream guy, watch The Mandalorian with your girlfriend or your wife, excuse me, and just
Don't you want one of those, only less green with?
No, don't say nothing.
No, let me do this in anime. Just listen. You just got to show your girl Evangelion, and you say, look. When that little disgusting rat comes out of you and is 14 years old, you'll be dead and your soul will be placed in a giant robot and he'll reverse birth himself back into you and you'll absorb him in like a nasty fluid. Oh, and you'll also hate him because his name is Shinji and he's a whiny pile of trash.
Well, that's another way of doing it, I suppose.
I did that too. I'm good.
It does look like a baby gremlin. I saw somebody mention that.
There's a great meme about that, by the way. But no, I mean, just that thing is designed scientifically.
Sure.
Scientifically. Yeah, so is AV Unit 1. Asmodeus says, maybe you should stop asking about whether you should ban porn and ask if you even can. What do you think that because the government signs a piece of paper, all that disappears off the internet or from my hard drive? Good luck.
Yeah.
That's a tough question.
That's true. Can't put the toothpaste back in the bottle.
Oh.
That was innuendo too, right there.
Oh man, see that? I'm already. Everything can be made into a sexual innuendo. Everything.
Freighter J says, "If
I think it's required to be, isn't it?
Can't park the train back in the tunnel.
You can if you try hard enough." Freighter J says, if fake CGI or robot child porn manages to appease pedos and thereby prevents real children from being harmed in making it, isn't it worth allowing it to exist?
Way too many assumptions in that question.
Yeah, that's the problem, is we don't have data on that. And the worst part is, the hardest part of that is we can't get it. It's too
No, because psychology as a profession is witchcraft.
Well, I'm just saying getting the data would be too damaging to the subjects.
And it's also utterly prone to manipulation, to the point that even if there was some way to do that ethically and morally, they would still find a way to distort it.
Yeah, I flat out don't want that stuff out there, period. I'd use the law if I could break it. I'd use business if I could break it. And I'd use public shaming. Short of that, you're not going to get rid of, by the way, to that other argument, you're not going to get rid of that stuff either. But it doesn't mean I'd rather die trying.
There you go.
And that's a fair point. A lot of things that we believe as people might not make wise laws, but it's not a changing thing. I guarantee you, the classic example would be something like revenge, right? Somebody kills your child. Mm-hmm. If you had a chance, you would absolutely
use
that. No question. I mean, no parent that I know.
Yeah, you take the law in your own hands, even though it's not wise or necessarily the good, but it's what reasonable people do.
That's right. People can say, well, the legal system shouldn't allow that because of this, that, and the other thing, and whatever.
Well, there's a great video. If you search it up on YouTube, you probably find it. Some guy. This goes back to, I think, the 80s. And some dude's kid, like 10, 11-year-old kid, was abducted by, of all people, his karate instructor.
Oh, God.
Banned karate.
Yeah, banned karate.
It was the belt.
And it was like for a couple of months or something. And so finally, somehow they tracked him down. And this is just the most fantastic piece of video I've ever seen. When I discovered it, I should have put it like in a permanent loop for 24 hours. It was so great to watch.
Wow.
They brought this guy into the airport. I forget where the hell it was, some American city, and they had a wedge of cops around him. I guess FBI, whoever the hell collared him, bringing him through this airport concourse, and they're walking through. And I guess this footage was from a guy from a TV news station, and behind this wedge of cops with this dude in cuffed, right, is a phone bank, public phones. You don't see too many of those anymore, right?
I know the video you're talking about now.
A couple of guys on the phone, and then all of a sudden, one of these dudes just turns around and pulls a hog leg and just blows his head clean off. Boom, right there. It was a thing of beauty. It was so cool.
It was apparent.
Well,
he couldn't. The kid's father knew where he was coming through. He waited for him, and he just put one right.
And they tried him and let him off.
Absolutely.
And they let him off.
If I'm on that jury, that guy's going to walk.
Well, now that's the law. That's
he couldn't.
The law, baby.
Such a beautiful moment. Really
he couldn't fight him though because the guy was a karate instructor, would have kicked his ass.
Indiana Jones, right?
I thought that's where this is going. Like, oh yeah, I found him. He just pounded the hell out of that guy. It's like that story could have gone the other way. Like, good thing he knew karate and not like kung fu or something more.
Did you guys
effective.
ever see? Was it A Time to Kill? Was that the Grisham novel?
Yeah, with Samuel L. Jackson.
Yeah. Again. I mean, that's the thing. So we can theorize all we want to about whether things are wise and so forth, but we're human beings at the end of the day, and you're
what
not
are you
velcroing? Oh, I don't know. I've got cargo pants on. I just started fiddling with them. I got a pocket here. Everything's Velcro on these things, which is kind of cool, actually. But sorry. By the way, we haven't heard Larry's phone go off one time.
Yeah, Larry, did you ban your phone?
Could you make it go off? I mean, I kind of enjoyed it last time.
I'm taking bets for the evening. That's what it is.
Okay. James, I got to step away for just a second.
But, you would.
I'm sure you can handle it. I'll be back.
Dustin Fritzfar says, take away my FAP material and I'll flip on Second Amendment and become the biggest Beto fan just to spite you. Also, sorry I'm late. Next, Brian Dewig says, you think prohibition was bad? Wait till they ban sex because it's obscene and harms children by allowing them to be born.
Okay.
Brian Dewig says, you ban it and it moves to the dark web and back to use net transmitted as ASCII encoded emails. It won't go away, just underground and regulation. And then there was a message retracted. I don't even know who sent it or what they said, but now I really wish I did. It's always great when someone retracts something because you're like, oh, what did you say that you don't want out there?
There's shrinkage.
Midnight Kitsune says, I'm about to celebrate our 20th wedding anniversary. Hey, congratulations.
Good job.
I'm blessed by the ancestors to marry my equal, best friend, soulmate, and person who loves me for me. I love him for himself and nothing else. Yes, it was love at first sight. Very cool.
Good.
Very cool. I had not love at first sight, but some other L word at first sight for Lady Rackets.
Okay.
And it's
the way it often starts. It's cool.
Well, but I was in college, right? Like my mind wasn't on marriage. That wasn't where things were. But I certainly. Oh, Ty's back. I was like, it switched to his camera from a noise, but he wasn't there. I was like, ghosts? What's going on? Welcome back, Ty.
Thank you. Thank you.
But yeah, my brain was not on marriage at all. Like I can't pretend that it was like love at first sight and all of that stuff. For me, I'm not saying this wasn't for the other person. Just for us. That wasn't the story because I was a 22 at the time, 22-year-old man. Not looking to settle down at the time. But, things changed.
I think our comments are more designed to encourage and to make guys feel better.
If you undo that pocket one more time, I'm gonna come back to Texas and I'm gonna enact every threat I could possibly think of on the plane.
I was just making sure that you were listening. That's all, Nick.
Throw ink on the Dockers.
My phone.
Okay.
Cigar Chomping Penguin says, question for the attorneys. I passed my drone piloting exam 2 months ago and bought a drone yesterday. Could and should I register it under both commercial and recreational lists? I plan to use it for both. Doug, my books came in and look great. Thank you.
Oh, wow. Thanks for backing.
Ty, do you know anything about drone licensing?
No, because when I got my drone, the FAA was you did license, and then I think they decided that they didn't cover it or something. So no, I'm look that up. Here's the thing: if a commercial license is required, get it.
He has that. He got the license. He's just wondering if he should register it both commercially and residentially.
No idea.
I'd say if your planned use is for both, register for both. That's the low risk method. I don't trust the licensing thing because I'm pretty sure Obama didn't have drone licenses when he was shooting down American citizens with drones. But that's just me. Look, I didn't register, but I did drop bombs.
Didn't have to.
Well, he wasn't flying it, Nick. He did. He just gave the thumbs up. Are you
sure? If you were president, wouldn't you fly a Predator drone?
Hell yeah.
I would surf on top of one of those things. That would be awesome. Trivia aficionado says porn isn't just in vid form. Most woman porn is written and is much harder to objectively define. Things don't necessarily have to be extremely explicit for a woman. Many mainstream romance authors basically write woman porn.
That's correct.
Do we ban 50 Shades of Grey? I mean, maybe. I've read it.
I think it should be considered.
No, I joke. It's actually I say this every time, and people make fun of me every time, but I'll defend it to the death. It's well done, but poorly written. Technically bad writing. E.L. James needs an editor, but she's doing some complex literary stuff in that book, and I know she stole it. I don't care. That's all fine. She's actually doing complex literature in that book, just technically poorly, which is really weird place to be. Well, it
started out as Twilight fan fiction, didn't it?
Yeah, but that doesn't automatically make what she's writing a bad.
No, I'm just saying, but that that kind of establishes the
Yeah.
the genre, I suppose.
Yeah, and that is the quality of the actual text on the page is the quality of low grade fan fiction. And that's why I say she needed a professional editing team. But wait, why am I giving her advice? She sold 100 million books.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, I was having that conversation with Brianna and Brittany one time about it appears to me that the quality of writing of fiction has declined.
That's because the quality of reader has declined.
Possibly so. And I was because they're perfectionists. They both really, you know, and I was telling them, I said, you know, the implication of that, sorry, Nick, I'll stop that. See, yeah, it's your fault.
Stick a knife in your leg.
You called it to my attention, and now I have this unconscious desire to
just shove a knife in there, and that's fine. We'll make it better.
Anyway, but I was saying to them, I said, you know, the implication of that is that, you know, substandard writing may actually be acceptable, and you know, they didn't agree, and I'm glad they didn't, but. You know, but that's a perfect example right there. I tried to read because, well, I wanted to see, you know, somebody that could turn fan fiction into $100 million. I wanted to see how that happened. I couldn't get through, you know.
It's a slog. It's a slog at first. You have to get really used to it. And
yeah. But anyway, yeah, it was.
But you know, who was it? Was it Thoreau that wrote just absolutely trash dialogue too? It was either.
I never could understand James Joyce. I know he's this big, great, epic literary thing, but I tried to read Ulysses. I'm going, oh my god!
Oh, sorry, that's
crap.
You.
I'd take him over Thoreau. So.
Yeah, really. Wow.
Well, yeah, Ulysses is.
Thoreau was the original limousine liberal, though, wasn't he? He was the one that wrote the was it Walden Pond? About, you know, how great it was to go back to nature, except, you know, he was using all these tools that had been created by an industrialized society, while slagging the industrialized society.
Yeah. Oh, I encountered that today. What? Damn it. I don't remember what it was.
You walked outside?
No. It was one of those things where I encountered a thing where someone was you know, disavowing this, using the tools that they were required to even be able to disavow. Like, oh, it was Taylor Swift. That's what it was.
We're on music now.
Okay, so.
You saw her plowing the fields? What was she doing?
Well, listen, we got to be careful talking about plowing fields and Taylor Swift. No, she was talking about all of her albums all of her first 6 albums, the IP to them got purchased by a guy named Scooter Braun.
That's right.
And at the awards ceremony, not only did she call out Scooter, she called out the venture capitalists who funded the purchase, like the Soros family, for example. And and then she called out venture capitalism as a whole. And I was like, lady, without venture capitalism, you don't have a music industry and you don't make $100 million a year.
She wouldn't own a building in downtown Nashville that I drive by all the time. She got that building from good old free market capitalism. Isn't that good?
Yeah. And it's like, I'm sorry that this happened to you. And she's like, I so would have paid, of course, the way she talked, I would have paid so much money for my master's. It's like, well, would you have paid the $300 million for Big Machine Records? Because that's what Scooter Braun paid. And you could have presumably bought Big Machine Records for $300 million, but you didn't.
That's why she was upset, though, was because they didn't offer it to her. It was a private deal first.
Oh, like man.
She could have bought. She would have bought her own records. I think it was kind of funny.
I'd call her bluff. If I were them, I'd call her bluff. I'd offer to sell it to her for a reasonable profit.
Yeah, what, 380, 400? She can afford it. She can afford it, no problem.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a silly thing. It's a silly thing, really. But yeah, I was marveling. I was like, first of all, you're on Twitter, which is literally built on venture capital. Venture capital plus government subsidies. It's the ultimate hybrid.
Probably using an iPhone, which there was a venture capitalist named Mike Marcullo who provided the initial capital for Apple.
Yeah. Well, and don't forget the venture capitalist Bill Gates, who provided $150 million, I think it was, to Apple when they were failing.
Yeah.
Without venture capitalism, her entire lifestyle crumbles and collapses because without it, we're working on different things and we're not spending luxury money on CDs and iTunes subscriptions. we're literally hacking potatoes out of the ground to survive the winter without these systems in place. So it was just.
But funny. Nick, you're ignoring the feeling of sanctimoniousness though that comes with criticizing venture capital.
That's
true. On your iPhone, on Twitter, and
Yeah.
I don't know. Can anybody feel sympathetic for somebody who's just 30 and worth north of $350 million bitching about their business deals? I can't.
No. I have no sympathy for her because
it's because she knows all her greatest hits are in her past, and they own them.
Her new music really does suck, and it's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. And she only got 4 Grammys this year or whatever.
Yeah, hey, when you get ripped off, Taylor, you got to just shake it off. Take your own advice.
You know what's really bad is that she's going to turn 30 and do you think her biological clock has got to be going on overdrive?
Oh yeah.
And she's got to be looking at every single guy going, God, I wish I would have found one before I was big.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. You remember my cousin Vinny, Marissa Tomei doing stomping my biological clock is so every time somebody brings it up, I always think of that. It's like, oh.
I always think of Look Who's Talking or whatever.
That was Kirstie Alley and John Travolta?
Yeah, her doctor told her, your biological clock is ticking right at the beginning of the movie. That's good.
John Travolta in the pre-Pulp Fiction years when he was really just kind of knocking around. It's like, John Travolta, yeah, what's he doing?
Yeah, and then it was Bruce Willis in the next one.
Yeah.
Look Who's Talking 2 was Bruce Willis.
I remember a press tour that Travolta did on that Look Who's Talking movie, and they asked him how he felt about having his first kid, and I'll never forget what he said because it was probably the only wise thing I've ever heard him say. But he said, the kid freed me from being the center of my own universe.
Ooh, that's good.
I never forgot that because it is something that kids really make you care about something else. Yeah. It wrestles your own self, a piece of your own selfishness away that I always really, I'm thankful for.
And if it doesn't, there's something wrong with
yes.
it.
Yeah. I would add to your statement, Doug, sometimes.
Yeah. To good parents, I mean.
It should. It should.
One would hope.
Hey, my mom danced with John Travolta.
Oh,
who led?
She was out of wait, what?
Who led?
He did. She was at some bar in Houston. And he was getting ready for Urban Cowboy. So he would just go to these bars and honky tonks and just grab women and dance with them, like practicing for Urban Cowboy. And she happened to be there. So she got to dance with John Travolta. And then he did Urban. So it was before he was big, both literally and figuratively, because he did balloon up. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Oh, speaking of John Travolta, I went to Five Guys Burgers and Fries the other day, and I got a shake, and it was delicious, but it was $4.99. It was a $5 shake.
$5 shake.
Yeah. I took a sip, and
There's
I was
no booze in it. There's no booze in it.
No booze in it.
No, I took a sip though. And I handed it to Lady Rackets. I said, "That's a pretty good shake." I guess every shake is $5 now, but that's a really good shake.
Don't they have In-N-Out Burger by you, Nick?
No.
That kicks Five Guys' ass.
Oh yeah,
it really does.
I think we got one of those in Tyler of all things.
Yeah, check it out. In-N-Out Dynamite. Yeah.
But then I was lamenting the fact that every shake is a $5 shake, and anyone who watches Pulp Fiction now goes, "Yeah, well, $5 shake, that's like normal."
Yeah.
Or whatever.
So, inflation.
Yeah.
Kid. Inflation
didn't age well.
In 1992, your average shake was $2.36. Bald Eagle 1787 says, "Is it wrong to be financially secure before seeking a relationship? Also, Ty, if I buy a house before I get married, is there a chance I'll lose it in a divorce? I live in Texas." Oh, wait, I read that one. I'll say you're never financially secure enough to get married, ever.
It's true.
Well, yeah. If you own the house completely outright, and it's property you own before marriage in Texas is your separate property.
You have to keep it separate.
But when you say I own the house, is it completely paid for? Because if you use community property funds to pay your house off, now you've got a reimbursement claim that you would theoretically be able to get at if there was a divorce. So you
need to, first of all, you need to talk to a lawyer. Like, go ahead and send Beard Harris an email if you want.
Yeah.
But
give you a consultation.
You will have to work specifically to keep that house separate from your spouse.
Real property is probably the easiest of all property to keep separate.
Right. But you have to, like, you got to pay the taxes on it from a separate account that isn't coming from income. You got to there's a whole bunch of steps that you can do. You can do it, but you got to, it's conscious.
But guys, you can talk yourself out of getting married. You don't have to work that hard. There is no certainty.
You're getting married. You're throwing your life into this person, and the idea that you keep all your money separate, I don't get that. I don't get it at all. I think you're either getting in the boat or you're getting out.
I'm with you, Doug.
And it's a hard sell to her.
Yeah.
Especially if it's a first marriage. And if it's second marriage, that's different because all kinds of reasons.
I'm personally with Doug.
Hi, honey. I love you. I want to spend the rest of my life with you. But would you sign these documents so that if I scrape you off, I keep my stuff? So that's how she hears it.
But what about some guy that's really hit it out of the park?
Yeah.
And is sick rich?
She still hears it that way.
Yeah.
Of course, but still, I mean, you got to think. It's like what McAfee was telling me. He's been sued over 200 times. And he spent tens of $millions of defending himself in suits because everybody knows, here's this guy who's really goddamn rich. I don't like, he dropped a gum wrapper on my lawn or something. I think I'll sue him for a couple $1 million. Yeah. So you gotta think a guy who is not just wealthy, but wealthy and with some degree of fame probably has to be a lot more on guard for gold diggers than your average walking around stiff.
The good news for that guy is he can afford to do that through an intermediary that will take care of all of that for him. You can have a financial advisor with a separate trust account or a separate LLC that owns the house, and all of those payments get made automatically, and he doesn't have to worry about that because he's got someone there doing it. And that person is probably not the person, weirdly enough, is not the person asking that. A lot of times it's the person, the people asking this question are not really in a financial position where the risk is as great as they think it is, as hard as that is to say. I don't know about this person's particular situation.
Well, just be aware. I mean, again, I think Nick, you and I talked about this on your show one time before. Just be aware that, marriage is a different proposition. Marriage is a different proposition for men and women. Women are incurring a great deal more risk objectively than men are when they marry when they're young, because there's a certain finite period of time where they're going to be very, very desirable. Men, on the other hand, we're lucky. As long as we're successful, we'll always have the opportunity. And so the contract, the contract is front loaded hard for women. So their skepticism about prenuptial agreements and stuff is actually quite logical and quite reasonable. And you should be thinking about ways to address their legitimate concerns. I've had very wealthy clients that have gotten married where I've said, look, set it up so that if y'all get divorced after 5 years or something, some reasonably short period of time, that she gets enough that she's not going to be destitute. That makes a prenup a hell of a lot more, acceptable. But of course, that requires you to be wealthy enough to be able to do that. So that's back and forth. But the idea that if she wouldn't have a problem with signing this unless she had an ulterior motive. Well, that's bullshit because again, she's risking a lot more in the first 5-10 years of the marriage than you are, and she's also very keenly aware of that. I think they're wired to be aware.
How would you feel if she said, sign this document that says you'll only touch me from the waist up or from the waist down. You only get half of me. And you go, wait a minute. I'm coming into this marriage with $100 million. And she's like, well, my torso is worth $100 million to me. So
and to you.
Yeah. So it's normal if you own your own house to go in and to share that house with someone else. And it's normal when she divorces you to take half. That's normal.
Well,
that's what happens.
Again, I hate to break the news to everybody, but the law can't always address competently problems human beings can create. We're about a whole order of magnitude behind the ability of people to create screwed up situations.
Doug, someone asked why divided horizontally.
Really?
You get the right half. That is good.
Oh my goodness.
Bilateral diagonally.
Yeah, you want diagonal is probably the best deal.
But you want to slice it in both dimensions, right?
If you think about it, yeah.
Crimson Fist says, Nick, can you refund my 20? I forgot the message. I got your message. We addressed his message. I got it in chat and then relayed it to Doug. The question was about the Neverhood. The short answer to your question, though, is no. I have no control over refunds on YouTube. I can't do anything about them. They don't ask me. On Streamlabs, if you want to refund a Streamlabs thing, I get an email and then I can approve. I can offer my input on whether they should approve or deny the refund. On YouTube, I get no say in it. So, no, sorry, I can't. You should have sent another $20 super chat. No, I'm just kidding. That was a joke. Almond John says somebody should start a GoFundMe for boot camp instructors to go around and kick in the doors of houses where snowflakes live, drag their ass out from their computers and toughen them up. That'd be pretty.
I like
cool.
that guy.
Well, we used to have that was like Scared Straight, right?
Scared Manly.
Yeah.
Scared Manly, yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be a great miniseries, though.
Scared Rugged.
Scared Rugged. There you go.
Yeah, they just...
I actually pitched a reality series some years ago called Scared Gay. And the idea was to get a bunch of single guys and put them in a room and then have these bedraggled husbands walk by with the kids screaming in strollers and shitty diapers and empty pockets, no money at the end of the month, etc. And then the gay guys would come out with like their plush duplexes and their Teslas and say, "Oh, what are you doing?"
Yeah. Look,
I thought that was called prison.
Yeah.
Well, there's no Teslas in prison or duplexes.
Well, there's gonna be soon.
If you do a reality show though on the getting the snowflakes out, I think all of us would volunteer.
Yeah.
to be the drill instructors.
Listen, Larry. Yeah. All this can be yours. You just have to like hair on the anus. That's fine. Can you do that? That'd be the ending question, the dramatic music playing and like the last question. Yeah, I can deal with the hair. I can do that. Here's 10 grand. Go get started. Brian Max says, hey guys, my son is having surgery on Tuesday morning and a second one in January. He is 7 and is having both cataracts removed. Can you please pray for him? I will. Yeah. I will absolutely do that.
Yeah, big time.
Big Chew Gaming. Grew up Roman Catholic and always liked the steak pie afterwards. As I grow older, the drinking, which in Scotland starts early. The Fuzz says, I thought this was for Chad dads. What's Tapeworm to Naple doing here? Chads don't get triggered over memes and call their fans mentally disabled. Oh man, Doug, he's not happy with you, I think.
Don't know what you're talking about, man, but God bless you, brother. Hang in there, man. Hang in there.
Did you call someone mentally disabled?
I don't know. I would only call someone who's mentally disabled, but I definitely do have some fans that are mentally disabled.
I call people mentally disabled from time to time. I've known to throw that insult out there. And that honest assessment.
I never call them that. I question whether they're that way, though.
Oh, no. Sometimes there is no question, Ty.
Yeah.
Have you been on Twitter?
No. It's an affectation. I'm just saying.
Hypothetically.
Yeah, some people are batshit crazy.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
The Fat Man 56 says, Nick, at Lemoyne's funeral, what's that look like? Look, I'm probably not going to his funeral.
It's a trap.
Someone sent me...
No tears, Nick?
Oh, I would cry. I would cry if he died. Yeah. No, if people think me cold. I would feel very bad for whatever family mourned him or whatever.
By the way, you haven't said it tonight yet.
I've not. This is not the show for that, Ty.
Well,
someone sent me West Nile virus.
Shows either.
Someone sent me West Nile in the mail. I'm not even kidding. Someone sent me a West Nile virus.
How do you send West Nile virus when it's communicated by a mosquito?
Listen, they sent me a West Nile microbe.
Okay.
In the mail. I'd get it for you. It's still in my car. I don't want to carry that thing around. It's dangerous. Some nobody says, incidentally, lots of third cousins at Irish wakes. I think, Larry, that was when you said it was an orgy, or almost an orgy.
Almost. Not quite. The drunken part, the orgy never happened, but a lot of drinking.
10 of Spades says, I got my Earthworm Jim comic on Thursday. It was worth the money. Ooh.
Thank you. Thanks for backing. Thanks for coming in. You're my people. I'm going to keep. We're doing Bigfoot Bill 2 in February, so doing a new book.
What are you working on now? I mean,
it's Bigfoot Bill 2. I'm inking.
Oh, okay.
Inking pages, just drawing my ass off.
Okay, yeah.
Wait,
always drawing.
You can draw an ass off, because I know some females who might need that service.
Yeah. It's a drawing surgery. Surgery.
A deadly assassin says, you think Lemoyne jerks his old saggy, wrinkly, soggy Gert to your streams while moaning, "Con sluts"? Merry Christmas.
That's really gross.
It's disgusting. It's disgusting. But it is the super chats. I'm bound.
You gotta read them. You gotta get through them.
Yeah.
Money's changed hands.
Exactly.
No refunds.
The Sean23 says, hey Nick, will you do a New Year's stream? Probably. Is it possible to have Drexel on the show? No. I'll tell you why. I will be 1,800 miles away from Drexel on New Year's, so it's just not. That's not going to happen, unfortunately. We probably won't have a show together until after the New Year. Inverted High Five says, any comment on Monica getting gastric bypass to lose weight in case there is a hearing? What?
What does that mean?
I have no idea. I have no comment on that. Is it because she thinks that because she's a fatso, the jury won't like her or something? I mean, maybe. I don't know. Hey, have you guys seen that YouTube has a new policy on malicious insults, apparently?
Yeah.
What is that even?
What's that about?
I don't know. Apparently, they say that malicious prolonged insults will result in the channel being penalized or whatever. But what is a malicious insult?
What is extended?
I don't know.
Isn't an insult malicious by definition?
Not necessarily.
No?
Not anymore, because people can be insulted by anything and triggered by a microaggression. So those aren't malicious. What about macroaggressions for the fatzos? Is that malicious? I don't know. I legitimately don't know. I think that's I
think once again it's another vague standard that they can use to squelch people.
Apply to their enemies and remove for their allies.
Sure.
I believe that's what it's used for 99% of the time.
Hey,
it's human nature. I mean, come on.
YouTube, we make you more money than they do. Just remember that.
They don't care. They don't care. That's the strangest thing about this world we live in today, is that social justice loons are willing to destroy the companies they work for if it makes them feel morally superior. And not only that, it's not just employees, it's CEOs. I mean, that idiot at Dick's, for the aptly named Dick's, is a great example of that. I mean, that guy cost his shareholders millions of dollars.
Yeah.
Well, he only cost each of them like $1.50.
Do what?
Nothing. I'm being a dick. Go ahead.
Well, now that you were cutting out, my connection is getting crappy again for some reason. But anyway, this is the world we live in now, where people who don't care if they ruin the companies. I mean, if I don't have any money in the public market, so I don't really care. But if I did have significant investments in the public market, I'd be filing shareholder lawsuits against some of these lunatics.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
for destroying the value. And by the way, a lot of these companies are owned by pensions and by retirement plans and this kind of thing. So when they're damaging the investors, they're damaging normal people.
Yep.
But they don't care because it's all about their own narcissism.
D-Man Dog 056 says, Doug, you were behind Cat Scratch, right?
Yep.
Liked it when I was a kid. Favorite episode was Line in the Litter Box.
Cool. I worked on that. That's based on my first comic book called Gear. Nickelodeon picked it up and we made a show called Cat Scratch out of it. So
I don't remember that. So.
It only had 2 seasons.
Well, so did Rome, but I watched that.
Yeah. I got kind of, they found out I was a religious conservative and my days there were numbered. So
yeah. Did you say
it was a great show. Great show.
Your days there were numbered or your gays there were numbered?
That too.
I legitimately think I heard gays, which is funny.
Just remember, you can believe anything, but you believe that one thing. You don't kiss the ring and tell them how much you love the gay marriage. You get out of a job.
Oh,
pretty quick. Stupid. So
you should have told him you were. Never mind.
Yeah, I mean, I can lie. All of us can lie. There's basically saying you want to be employed, you got to lie, and I won't do that.
Well,
which is why I'm crowdfunding, making great money, making great stories and books. It's much better in the indie sphere.
It is. Yep. I think everybody should.
Still, it takes a laudable amount of courage to do that, and so
I'm one of the few vocal ones, and I just figure. Life's too short to live a life of BS.
Well, I'm self-employed, so I can be a man of principle, and it really didn't cost me anything.
Yeah.
When you actually are rolling the dice like that, that's laudable. So
yeah, all my friends who work for EA and work for all the studios, they all have to keep their mouth shut. They can't talk about their beliefs. They have to hear everyone else say their beliefs at work, and they just know you don't say who you voted for. You don't talk about your religion, and then you're allowed to remain employed.
Oh, I'd find that very easy to do, wouldn't you, Nick?
Larry, yeah.
Wouldn't y'all find that eeasy to do? Just let it just roll off your back, right?
I'm good at shutting up in the face of authority.
Yeah. Well,
they're coming for YouTube. They're coming for Twitter. Just pretty soon, everyone will have the correct beliefs, or you will not get to keep your business.
Yep.
In Revelation, the controlling of buying and selling seems.
Yeah.
And by the way, my cruise, I've always had gays, trans on my cruise. We got along fine. They were never the problem. It was always someone in HR.
Yeah. Well, that's the best part. It's always someone offended on behalf of someone else.
It is. It was never my crew and never my people. We always got along fine.
If as a society we could ever figure out a way to delegitimize people who are offended on behalf of other people, if we could ever find some way to create a standing requirement. You have no standing here, therefore shut up, or we're just going to point and laugh at you. That would go a long ways. I like to ask the occasional lefty when I run into them, tell me one thing you've done to remedy this discrimination that you rail about, besides scolding.
Have you seen my Twitter account, Ty?
Exactly. Besides scolding, which costs you nothing and delivers nothing of value to the people that you claim to be so concerned about. And I'm not kidding. The ones that have responded have literally responded, well, I've taken a stand against. Okay, what part of besides scolding did you not understand? I mean, it's the cheapest form of virtue. It's a form, almost a form of stolen valor in and of itself.
Yeah.
The people who went down to Alabama in the 1950s and 60s to march for civil rights, those people were at least putting their lives, at least theoretically, in jeopardy. That's worth a certain amount of admiration, I think.
Yeah, they knew they were going to get beaten.
Yeah.
That takes
by people who were perfectly willing to do it.
Yeah. And had a demonstrated history of doing so.
So for these Twitter scolds to pat themselves on the back as though they are the second coming of the civil rights movement is just nauseating and pathetic. But
I like Malcolm Gladwell was talking about this. So some kid shrieking at like the board at Yale over the, I don't know if it was Yale, maybe it was Stanford, the Woodrow Wilson Library, probably Stanford, because Wilson was a racist, and Wilson was horrifically racist. Sure. Also a terrible human being and a bad president. But that being said, he was also the president of Stanford for a very long time, and it makes sense to have a library named after him. And they wanted it changed. And Malcolm was criticizing them because he's like, this person is going into a room full of white people telling them that they're bad, but not willing to give up anything for it. They wanted the easy version of the protest. They're taking a stand, but they won't stop going to the school. They won't take the dollars away from the school. They won't encourage other people to stop going to the school because they want their Stanford education, or wherever I think it was Stanford. But they want that. And that's the difference between protests now and protests in the 50s and 60s, is these people were willing to give up the things that they had to achieve the goals. Now, this new generation of kids, they just want to yell and have people kowtow to their demands.
And do this. And pat themselves. Here's a dad moment to the stream. Don't confuse cheap sanctimony with genuine virtue. Because genuine virtue costs you something. We admire virtue because it requires you to sacrifice something if you show it. Standing there yelling at the clouds because of the name of a library, you're just an idiot. You're a sanctimonious little idiot. Don't be that guy, stream. Don't be that guy.
Ron Type 15 says, here's my retirement plan. Sell my story to Hollywood to turn into a movie titled The 40-Year-Old Virgin, The True Story, and have Steve Carell star in it. Then royalties galore. Hugo from Uruguay says, Doug the homophobic tapeworm to Naples.
That was kind.
Are you scared?
Gosh, Doug,
are you scared of gay people? Homophobic is such a weird word.
I was more offended by the tapeworm.
Oh.
No.
Why is a tapeworm?
I don't know.
I don't get it.
Hey, that guy's welcome to have his say. There you go.
Yeah, that's
you get in line with all the other SJWs. Get in line.
Yeah. Gee, you never heard that before, have you, Doug?
Yeah. Don't tell me I also shouldn't be able to make money too. Get in there, man.
I don't understand the tapeworm insult. I don't get it. So
it's a nickname because I created Earthworm Jim. So EVS gave it to me, and then now his whole audience follows it, and it's funny. It's at least humorous.
Okay. I don't get the. Okay. Anyway, Tillip says, at Doug, are you a fan of Lorne Lanning and Oddworld?
Yeah, I know him.
And are you following Soulstorm's fustercluck of visual design? Sue Storms?
No, I'm not. I'm not familiar with that. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. But you know Lorne Lanning?
Yes.
Oh, no, who don't you know?
Well, but he was a contemporary in the 90s when Oddworld came out, was right around Earthworm Jim. I mean, I don't know him well. You run into all the fellow creators.
I don't know him well. We just exchange cakes every Tuesday.
It was a blood transfusion.
Josue Tavares says, the panel is full of self-made business owners. Is starting a business something someone with a family should even try attempting or look to pursue? Well,
I
panel.
I did.
Yeah.
It's risk. All things are risk. Getting a job is risk because you can lose it.
And don't for a moment think it's easier.
No.
They think the future is, if you're looking for security, either get into academia or government.
Yeah.
If you're looking for that from the private sector, you're not going to get it.
Yeah.
It's I can't stand working for other employers, so I would the risk is worth it, but you have to be okay with failure, because the most successful businessmen have failed a number of times. You just have to be the kind of person that isn't stopped by failure. You get back up and you adjust and you try again. And but man, I wouldn't trade it for anything. I've been largely indie for 30 years.
Can you imagine working for somebody else at this point?
All the bosses I work for, just to have someone tell you how to do your job and they don't know what they're doing is tough.
The crazy cool thing is if you have that family, it increases the severity of the risk, sort of.
Yeah.
But at the same time, having the support, if you have the support, that's a key element. But if you have that support and you have the trust of your spouse, having that person to champion with you through the failures and through the adjustments and through all of that, and then to enjoy the success with, is something that you cannot put a price tag on.
Yeah.
So.
And I have no problem with going and getting a real job. If the bank goes to zero, then you go out and get a real job.
Sure.
Post kids, anyways. Once you have kids, you gotta make some income. So I always see it as like I'm trying to save up 3 months ahead or a year ahead or whatever, and then when that money runs out, it's time to go get a real job. I lose my business privilege when you can't pay rent.
This is why I can't have you banning porn, Doug. You're foreclosing my alternatives.
Main source of income.
Mama Bear says, my Earthworm Jim copies came in, and I must say the boxes were pretty cool too. Also got a few copies of Radio Nowhere for Christmas gifts. Thank you guys, and have a great Christmas.
Cool. Look at that. Supporting us. That's good.
Yeah.
Oh, well, even better, supporting my daughter. By the way, message to the stream. If you can help someone's children, you win them over just about automatically. Gentlemen, would y'all agree with that?
That's right.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah. Oh, speaking of that, gosh dang it. Fatsmas Carols is out. I'm supposed to be promoting it because we have just a couple days for that to actually chart on Billboard. And if you want Billboard to have to recognize the CD of Fatsmas Carols, make sure you buy it. It's $5. Like I said, buy one for yourself and two for a fatso. Fatsmas Carol. Ty.
All right.
Look how embarrassing.
His ears fell out.
I got them out of order, and so I was going to put my reading glasses on, but there was going to be that embarrassing cord. By the way, to the guy that gave me the headset, the reason I'm not wearing them tonight is I don't have enough ports on my laptop and my.
Stuttering more than Obama. I hear the lines just rolling out of that.
I got to wring out a kidney, guys. I'll be right back.
Okay, see you in a second, kid. So
he has the greatest lines, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's good. That's why he's
Larry. Yeah,
it's Larry show.
But yeah, Fatsmas Carols is a collection of Christmas carols in honor of Matt Jarbo. Matt Jarbo.
Okay, how do you spell that?
Fatsmas. It's spelled phonetically.
Fatsmas.
Start with fat and end with smass.
My Room Records. Yep.
Yeah, I have. Oh God, I have one I could play, but you guys wouldn't be able to hear it.
So how do we buy it?
It should be like
on iTunes.
Okay.
Yeah,
sounds good.
It's like $5. It's made by a bunch of independent artists.
The goal is to make it chart, so they'll have to recognize it.
There's some controversy around this album because people are wondering why Dame Pesos isn't on it. I asked My Room Records about it, and Dame Pesos submitted a track to him, but he used a copyrighted background track. and it was just him saying Mundane Matt is a pedophile over and over again, which he was a little worried about publishing that under his own label for defamation purposes.
Wise move, pulling that one. Wise move.
And I don't know, like, I'm not trying to get in between my room and Dame Pesos. That's their beef. I don't have anything to do with it. I'm just saying that's the reasons that were given. So if you have issues with that, you can take it up with those two. I like both of those guys. Dame's hilarious. My room did the whiskey drinking lawyer song.
And the song for me.
And the Ty Beard theme song as well. So what I do know is that it's a bunch of funny tracks. Like we'll fat shame you until you're skinny is one of them. So they're out there. I would play it, but like I said, my guests wouldn't be able to hear it, and that seems weird. So maybe I'll do a promo video for them tomorrow. All right. Ishaelson says, "Hey Nick, I'm wondering if you have a good TLDR on the Vic stuff to get a new person caught up. My uncle's done federal contracts for 47 years and was interested in hearing about the case." I need to probably put that video together. That's a project because it's been constantly updating for so long, but now it's a good lull period. So I'll work on something, Ishaelson.
You did see there was a new filing. I hadn't read it yet, but
today?
The summary.
I think it was yesterday. I think they filed their notice of appeal.
Oh, they're appealing now?
Yeah, I believe so. I was busy on other stuff, but I saw it come down. So.
Oh, okay. Well, no, I didn't see that today because I wasn't really looking. I was very busy for most of the day. Next,
and I have an episode on my show with Vic that got like 13,000 views. I think it's one of my most popular videos.
Did he get more views than me?
I think it did top you just recently. You and Lady Rackets were on, but the Vic Mignogna episode's a huge episode.
I'm gonna fly down to Dallas and beat the hell out.
Beat the heck out of that guy.
Ridiculous.
He sang on the show. He played piano.
That's cheating.
It was amazing, man. He's amazing.
Well, that's one of the reasons I hate him. He is insanely talented.
He is talented and very soft-spoken, very kind.
Yeah,
very kind.
Good guy.
The Crow 751 says that Daria lady got a chin I could rub my ween in between.
Okay, I'm sure she'll be glad to know that.
Supreme Gentleman Founder ADL says, if you could talk to a Times Person of the Year, Greta, or Times Failed Austrian Painter of the Year, who would you pick? Jesus. Would you rather talk to Greta Thunberg or Adolf Hitler? I don't know, panel.
Hitler's more interesting.
How about neither?
Well, yeah.
Well, wait. A greatly interesting lawyer talked to Hitler for a very long time. His name was Hans Leiten, and he cross-examined Hitler for something like 8 hours.
Ooh, what?
About the confiscation of Jewish property prior to. This is like in 1937 or 1938. Okay. He puts Hitler on the stand for 8 hours. He didn't make it out of the camps. Shockingly, Hans Leiten didn't make it.
Yeah, but there's actually a really good fiction book, I guess you'd say. Martin van Creveld, who is an Israeli military historian of some pretty significant quality, but he wrote a book called Hitler in Hell, and it's essentially Hitler's memoirs as he is now in hell and has nothing better to do with his time except explain everything. And it's Creveld went way deep into Hitler's psyche and really educated himself on Hitler and all this kind of stuff. And it's a very disturbing read because everything he says sounds so reasonable. It's creepy. I can't say I enjoyed it because it bugged me, but he explained it. We all like to think of Hitler as this crazy guy. Well, he wasn't crazy in the sense that he was a gibbering idiot, right? He may have been demonic, but he wasn't crazy in that sense. He was actually very articulate, very crafty. Anyway, it's a fascinating read if you want to just get into the mind of a complete psycho.
Sounds like a ball. Get into the mind of a complete psycho. That's quite an appeal there, Tom.
Yeah, it's just but anyway, that I just finished it about three months ago, and I was just there going, this is wrong. But like I said, Crevelt, all I've ever read of his stuff was nonfiction. I don't think he's done any fiction before then. But anyway, just
why is Greta Person of the Year?
No, there's a bigger question here, Nick. Why is Time still in business? I thought they were out of business.
They're really not. I mean, the magazine business is absolutely doomed.
Dead.
Yeah.
So is newspapers. And even you guys were talking earlier about. I mean, the whole long form literature is on respiration. Wow. It can't survive. It won't. It come back as kind of a novelty, like film cameras or vinyl records. But the day of all of this, of the Stephen Kings and the Rowlings and so forth, they're limited, I think.
Oh God, I can't wait till everything I read comes from Twitter.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's true. I mean, it's a 240 character world.
That's the longest book anybody can read.
Yeah,
240 characters.
Leo Breaker 49 says, "Morning, everyone. Are you launching Bigfoot Bill 2 on Indiegogo still, Doug? Looking forward to getting Earthworm Jim
in February. Thank you for backing. Appreciate it."
Go. Rocky Top Otaku says, "Ty, haven't you heard? Percy is a cool name now."
Well, it's about time.
Was that as of 10 seconds ago? When did that happen?
It all started with Thomas the Train, his little green friend.
Percy, that's right.
It's funny. So the law Twitter idiots started calling me that. And of course, I was like, yeah, okay. Come up with something I hadn't heard growing up in East Texas. I had actually intended for years to get rid of that name. I just illegally changed my name. But when you're a lawyer, it's a hassle. You got to, and now the bastards have made me keep it because, of course, I can't get rid of it now.
Yep.
Cool,
You're done.
I think it might be a tad of a stretch.
Some nobody says government policing thought is also garbage. And then he further says, who gets to decide without a physical harm standard? I think this is back during our long discussion about porn. Yep. Some nobody also says justifies regulating all other harmful thought. I ate the juice. Says, Doug, don't limit my speech. Don't censor my books. Also ban these books that have things that I think are bad. Up yours, you hypocrite boomer jackass. Wow. You're getting some spicy ones
something
tonight,
of a
Doug.
lightning rod tonight.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I move things. I move minds.
I'm jealous, actually.
Chris Lemon says, wasn't expecting some religious hick nut job to be a guest when I tuned in today.
You can't say that about my friend Larry.
Thanks for inviting this Doug dude to keep me on my toes, I guess. I think all of us are some brand of religious hick nut job.
Pretty much, yeah.
I'm not religious.
Not.
Oh, ooh.
I'm not a hick.
Well, I was gonna say I'm not a nut job, but I cannot tell a lie. Bad Dragonite says parents are responsible for what their kids see. MT says the Chad dad chat. So why is Filthy Doug on? He is the odd one out here. He has a lack of Chad and intelligence. Damn,
Doug.
Dang.
God.
Get in there, man.
Looks like it's your night in the barrel there, Doug.
Now I see why Nick has me on his show. Look at that. I'm a real audience pleaser.
Yeah.
Hey, it's 2 a.m. I can go to bed. It's 2 a.m.
No,
This abuse.
not for them. Oh. Some nobody says Bible describes murder and rape. Banned? What now? That's always a question. I don't think the Bible's a kid's book, personally. Interestingly, when I was at the Creation Museum, they have a wall of like apocryphal texts, and what they are is children's books of the Noah story.
Oh wow!
And they're like, no, it must be presented in its full biblical glory, where God kills everybody. It's like, geez, calm down. These are for like 4-year-olds. Ken Ham, man, he's an interesting guy. Wing012 says Jesus walks among us and his name is Ron Jeremy. Brian Duig says unregulated. Hugo from Uruguay says tapeworm is never wrong. Preach us. So there you go. That seems like a compliment.
Yeah, almost. We're getting close.
If they try again, they'll get it. Freighter J says the argument that porn is damaging to society can easily be extended to violence as well. Earthworm Jim carries a gun. Should Doug's books be banned too? I don't know if it's exactly the same.
That's just quite a slippery slope. I mean,
no, that's just bullshit.
Yeah,
that's just bullshit.
Well, what about the Earthworm Jim porn Kickstarter backer though?
Yeah, that one. That one.
Well, that's a different thing. Yeah,
that was
that whole spurious connection with violence has long been used by the left to rationalize anything they wanted to keep out there, right?
Okay, but
it's always been the hostage they've tried to take, right? You know, well, if you try to ban this, then you have to ban violence. No, you don't. First of all, basically all of literature has violence in it. I mean,
yeah, but okay, let's take it out of literature and put it into something a little more real, like Grand Theft Auto, right? Yeah. Like there are extremely violent video games, which I personally fully endorse. And there's a similar amount of research out there to suggest that video games are horrifically damaging to children. I disagree with it, but that it's damaging in the same way.
Poorly.
Well, it's the same. Similar research to that says that porn is damaging to children, right? Like that. And so what the question then is, why are we banning this thing? So, and this is a question. If we're banning this, then why aren't we looking and applying the same standards over here? And it starts to look like people are picking and choosing what they like.
Well, people have to pick and choose.
They're going to do that, sure.
Yeah, but
you can't assess everything simultaneously either.
Right.
I mean,
well, they've been trying to ban violent video games since Doom.
Yeah,
sure.
At a time when overall violence has declined precipitously in this country, violent crime in every category has dropped. Well, until very, very recently.
And I'm also arguing. I usually don't argue from harm or the minimal ethic. The minimal moral ethic of do no harm. I argue more from what is the good, and that's my big difference. So I'm saying, is porn good? I would say no, it is not good. And I'm not saying I don't look at it. I'm saying it's not good. And so when I study our founding documents, if we're going to talk about legal theory and stuff, I'm just saying, why is there so many, if we're not supposed to legislate morality, why are there so many moral statements in the Constitution and in our law? If it was just supposed to be this neutral thing, and this is where I believe, as a classic conservative, where I believe libertarianism has come in and taken over more of conservatism, and that's what you're seeing the real divide is today, is more libertarianism, which believes in the more of the neutral ethic, whereas conservatives, and because we tend to be more Platonists, we believe in upholding the good, so that the government's end purpose is to promote the good.
There you go.
In the end, that's why I'm more of coming at it more from a moralist.
Welfare. That's in the preamble,
Oh, don't even get me started on the general welfare clause.
To ourselves and our posterity.
That's right. Our offspring and our offspring.
The general welfare clause is a subservient clause and needs to be attached to some other inherent power of Congress. Don't start with me, Ty.
Blah, blah, blah.
Some nobody says ban everything unsavory. Government's great at that. Alman John 1 says, who's more manly, Wolverine or Stone Cold Steve Austin? That's a good question.
Wolverine. Wolverine, because he's real and Steve Austin fake.
Yeah,
I think we have to go with the realism, don't we?
Yeah. It's a Wolverine. I just remember when Stone Cold Steve Austin sprayed beer all over that chick, and I was like, I would think about that now, and I'm like, God, you could never do that anymore.
Yeah.
Sakaki Onsai says, Larry, In-N-Out just opened up in Salem, Oregon. Yum.
Yeah, dig it, man. It's great stuff. Five Guys is overpriced. I saw somebody wrote in there, Five Guys is overpriced stuff for like faux hipsters. And he has something to point.
Okay, are there authentic hipsters? I mean, faux hipsters, isn't that redundant? Kind of.
Actually, there are some true hipsters. I've met a few, but not many.
Okay.
I like
Aren't
Five
they-
Guys because you order one order of fries and they give you a big brown paper bag full of French fries. It's like
French
a grocery
fries
stack.
And grease. Don't forget that the grease
And if you
is
go
there
there, you
too.
get peanuts too.
Peanuts, a lot of peanuts.
Yeah.
Some nobody
so
says,
that.
I need way less than 50% of a woman to be happy.
I'll take a foot.
That
I don't
quotation.
think that's the part he was talking about.
Oh,
Yeah,
trust me.
right.
Yes, it is. This is the internet, Ty.
Oh, God.
What are you thinking? You guys think you can ban porn? We still have feet.
That's what the Black Dahlia guy said. I'll take 50% of her.
When they show the ankles under the burqa, all banned showing the ankles too. So everybody step back.
Don't take knees, Doug. Don't take knees from me.
That's right.
Let's see. Last Sigil has a frowny face, an eggplant, a squirty donut, and then a woman, I think. And I don't even want to know what that means. The Sean 23 says, Doug, can you sketch Naruto? By the way, I got your book. Can you?
I can. Yeah.
Oh, well, that's it. Just asks if you can. So
Yes, I can. There.
Cool. Richmeister 84 says, Doug, make an evil earthworm Jim called Tapeworm Tim.
There is an evil Jim from the
what they go
cartoon that he'll make it in a future book. There is an evil Jim.
So you get to do more than just one book?
Yeah, I have a lifelong license to do as many books as I want.
Oh, that's cool.
So I'm just working on the next one. After Bigfoot Bill 2, I'll get working on Earthworm Jim 2, which is it takes off from where the last one left off. So looking
Nice.
forward to it.
So Larry, In-N-Out,
Yes.
that chain has the CEO who's a born again Christian.
Something
right?
like that. So it's a family run outfit. Yeah.
But she credits the Lord with like turning her life around. Apparently, she did.
Correct. Yeah, and they put Bible scripture passages on the bottom of the bags and the milkshake cups and stuff. And they draw a lot of heat because of that.
No.
Would you imagine that?
No.
Wait a minute. Did
but
you
they're
say
really-
female CEO?
Yeah.
What's that?
Did
yeah,
you
I think
say-
it is? I think
Get out. What kind of right-wing stream is this?
Exactly. Yeah, it's supposed to be the patriarchy there.
She's a
But,
Mary Sue.
There you
In and
go.
out Mary Sue.
A real life Mary Sue.
But it's really good, and they have an amazing operation. I mean, it's so efficient the way it's run. It's pretty
Yeah.
shocking.
I was mistaken. We don't have one. That's what I was looking at. We don't have one in Tyler, but we've got one. We got a number of them in the Dallas area. That must be where I've seen them.
Yeah,
They'll be here soon enough.
Oh yeah.
The Sean 23 says, guys, if you got hit by Truck Coon and you were sent to another world, what kind of isekai world would you want to be in?
I have no idea what that means.
Yeah, I can't even. I'm going to need to
Give me
translation.
some context there, Nick.
I don't know.
what does isekai mean? Let's
I
see
have
that.
literally
Yeah.
no idea. It must be some anime term. Let me see. Isekai.
See if the stream can help us out.
Need subtitles.
Is the portal fantasy subgenre of Japanese light novels, manga, anime, and video games. Isekai works revolve around normal person from Earth being transported to, reborn, or trapped in a parallel universe, usually a fantasy world. So it's really broad then. So like you could,
That sounds like anything.
yeah, you could show up in like Isekai Lord of the Rings or something, I guess. I don't know. What kind of isekai world would you want to be in? One where there's porn everywhere.
Yeah, see?
Skip the porn. Just give me the pointy chicks.
No, but they're all in burqas
No.
with shoulder pads, and you can't.
No.
Yeah,
Chick lane.
Larry, you gotta pray specifically, my friend. I learned that a long time ago.
Pretty specific. That's like a genie. Monkey's paw. Monkey's paw.
Maza
Great story. Public domain.
Classic.
Mazamani says the UK election proves Twitter is not real life. Yeah, they got hammered.
Yeah, how about that, huh?
Yeah.
It really does.
Vote for us, you ignorant racist. Turned out not to be the best campaign slogan.
Yeah.
Ever.
Yeah. Alman John 1 says, a place called Oscar's Cafe placed a snowflake job opening, requirements being no willingness to consider controversial or opposing views, overconfidence and naive ambitions, self-entitled and oversensitive.
That's funny.
Lyral says, next Halloween I want to dress up like unmistakably like a policeman, but I carry an obvious fake badge. Yes or no? It has to be obvious, and you can't try and be a police officer. That's really the big problem. Is trying to be the police officer. Some nobody says the American press and left gave rise to Hitler and then Nazism. That's why they spent almost 100 years shifting the blame to the right. Was on Time magazine. Yep, he was Person of the Year.
National Socialism.
Wasn't Bin Laden Person of the Year also 1 year?
He may have been. Yeah, that sounds familiar.
Yeah.
Oh, so Greta's in good company.
Yeah. She's doing great.
Nice.
Get in there, Greta.
Nice.
Bad Dragonite says, when are the Earthworm Jim toboggan hats coming?
Oh, like a long worm head thing. That's a good idea.
That's a great idea.
I don't own merchandising, so.
Silverhawk 216 says, Ty, why would they think having that name is a bad thing? I'd love to have a lawyer with a name that means the destroyer.
Is that what Percy means? Really? Holy shit! That's
a pretty manly thing to do
like
for being
that.
named Percy.
yeah.
I think that's too good to check.
Intimidator 0108 says, Stone Cold, Stone Cold, Stone Cold, and yes, I've dressed up and cosplayed as Stone Cold. Okay, cool. Skaki Onsai says, Ty, Percy is a great name, better than douchebag, better than lemon, better than manjaw. I'm just happy that you do not use your first initial, #Esquire. Yeah, I'm glad you're not P. Ty Beard. That'd be gross.
No, that leading initial thing, there are certain characteristics that I believe increase dramatically your chances of being a prick, right?
Yes.
A leading initial, right, is one of the indicia of prickness. Wearing shoes with no socks is one. None of these things are dispositive, right? But as they stack up. But yeah, I would say the leading initial that has to give you at least a 20% chance. I mean, a 90% chance of being a prick.
Listen, I want to get out to my garbage can without putting socks on. Leave me alone.
Okay.
I'll tell you another one in that same place, Ty, is the full name. For instance, if we were Nicholas, Douglas, Tyler, and Lawrence, we'd be a quad of pricks.
Actually, Actually, Lawrence, it's Tyrone. It's Tyrone. It's
Tyrone, yes.
It's not Tyler, it's Tyrone.
If you keep that up, it's going to be Terrence soon. So,
hey, the last white man in America named Tyrone. Just saying.
TLJ Screwjob says, hey guys, I'm going to be an uncle. Hey, congrats, buddy.
Oh, cool.
My brother and sister-in-law are in the hospital tonight now. Any uncling advice? Also, Doug got my Earthworm Jim Bigfoot Bill combo yesterday. Uncling advice?
Thank you for backing.
God.
Well, first of all, that's like really the easiest job in the world.
Yeah,
you get to be the cool adult, right?
You can be funny. You can be the crazy guy at Thanksgiving dinner table.
Give all the good presents and then leave.
You put $1 in his hand every time you come over. Have fun. Yeah.
Just be there, man, because kids love uncles. They do.
That's the thing that we have lost. I mean, there's a lot of good things that have come from a highly mobile society, but the extended family has been a major loss because things like uncles and grandparents, especially, gave kids exposure to adults besides their parents.
Sure.
In this day and age now, outside of the state, i.e., public education or whatever, most kids don't really. There's not a lot of serious interaction between kids and adults. It's too charged. It's too risky. You know,
Our communities are all broken up.
yeah, we don't. Yeah. So yeah, be there, like Nick said.
Karite Sumatai says, hope you are feeling better after resting these last few days, Nikki. I wasn't resting, man. I was on a plane, and then I was at a full day of visitation. God, that was a long day. And then I was at a funeral the next day, and then I was on a plane that same day to get back, and now here I am. Can you get any of your illustrious guests to say, I want my clients' money, gay boys? Any of you guys interested in saying, I want my clients' money, gay boys?
No. I can't say that.
I know you can't. It's not fair.
Nah, not really going to give them the soundbite.
I'll say it. I want my clients' money, gay boys.
Is that a quote from something?
Yeah, Christopher Hook.
From a book?
No. This lawyer who was suing Allstate on behalf of clients.
That guy.
He sent him a bunch of hilarious emails calling him all sorts of names and stuff. He withdrew from the case, though.
Huh.
He was forced to withdraw to protect his clients because they were trying to just. He said he was going to waterboard anyone who showed up at deposition, and then they brought that to the judge and said he's threatening us with violence.
I like that. I'm going to waterboard you.
Oh,
yeah.
You'd love some of the stuff this guy said. It
was so funny.
And honestly, Nick, who among us has not wanted to say that kind of stuff to a person?
Yeah, no kidding.
You know.
Next, LaPierre Hammer for prison. Says, the UPS shooting reminds me the last time Miami cop took handguns to a long gun fight. They learned nothing from 1986, despite it being the most taught police shooting. Ty, add War in the Pocket to your Christmas movie list. Doug, ever meet Butch Hartman?
Yeah, I worked with him at Nickelodeon. So he was a contemporary. Good guy.
There you go. Mercenary X says, I wish you guys would stop talking about looking for girlfriends and funerals. I'm an artistic 40-year-old man with zero chances of any kind of hope finding someone without extreme help. My only hope is to keep praying every day to God for help. Pray for me.
Chicks love creativity.
Yeah, that's shocking. Artists usually do pretty well.
It says artistic, but I have to consider the possibility that that's a typo of autistic as well.
Okay.
I don't know which one it is, but I will say that neither is going to 100% foreclose.
No, there's someone for everyone.
Maybe you'll find another autistic chick or an artist. I would go for the autistic one.
As they say, there's a cover for every pot. And
if you desire the relationship, there's probably a girl out there that desires one too.
Absolutely.
Right.
You got to do more than pray, though. You got to get out there.
You got to get out there. You have to get out there, move around. And I think a lot of people, as I tell these guys, we're mammals first, and romance and dating is a 5-sensory operation. And the most you're going to get delivered digitally is 2. So
at best.
Yeah, so, go up there. Make sure you sniff every chick you meet. That's a great way.
Absolutely.
The factory angle is important.
It actually is very important. I've seen studies that say that people that wind up in enduring relationships have similar respiration, similar resting heartbeats.
Yeah, but go up and sniff her hair in her armpits right when you meet her. That's the first thing.
Absolutely. Just pretend you're a Doberman Pinscher. They love that.
Ooh. Yeah. That's sniffing a little more intimate than I was suggesting, but I'm with it.
Be bold. Fortune favors the brave. Remember that.
Keylancer13 says, seconding that earlier Super Chat's recommendation of the Honor Harrington series by David Weber, with an added caveat, only read it up to the 8th book. It loses the plot after that.
Yeah.
Let's see. Next, we've got Bad Dragonite. At Doug, love the book and all the goodies, even love, and will be keeping the custom shipping box. Pour one out for me to celebrate, Nick. My country will no longer be dry in a few months when the alcohol bill is finalized. County. I was like, what the hell country is dry?
What country? Saudi Arabia?
Yeah. Unknown says, at which point do you cut ties in a friendship where you only ever hear from the other party when they need you without being and Duck. I don't. Do you have to cut ties with them? I mean, just if you only hear from them when they need you, then like, what's the how much effort do you have to put into cutting ties? And the hard question on that, and this is for you to answer for yourself, is how much effort are you putting into that friendship, though? Are you talking to them, or is it just that you don't need them, so you don't reach out? And that's a self-criticism of me that I found when I think back, and there are times in my life when I've been very bad about communicating with very important friends. What I find is that when a friend is good enough, you can't cut ties. Like, it's not even possible, because you can go years without talking, and then you see them, or you get a chance to talk to them, and everything's back to normal. So,
well, and is it a quid pro quo relationship? I mean, if they need you, does that impose a duty on them to call you when they don't need? I mean, I don't know. I'm asking. I'm not.
Yeah, I don't. These are very specific questions.
I can't remember ever cutting a friend loose for that reason. I mean, and I've had friends that were that way. You really only heard from when they needed you, but
Yeah, you're a lawyer.
Yeah, that's actually
those weren't friends, Ty.
Well,
sorry,
those were clients. Damn it!
Dang it! I was paid.
We like to pretend they're the same thing. I
have friends who I need them more than they need me, and I have friends where they need me more than I need them. So it's not friendship usually isn't utilitarian, though, where they're just using you or something.
It's never going to be equal. And so when you say that you only hear from them, is that really actually true?
Mm-hmm.
Next, we've got Magnus. Mercenary X says, also, before I forget, I was only kidding because I just want to see everybody's reaction on chat. But either way, still pray for me. And also, Doug, pray for Vic. Although I still have to disagree with you on some things, porn, I can still respect you.
Mm-hmm.
That was nice.
What was he joking about?
I do pray for Vic. He's a buddy. He's
joking about being artistic and 40.
Oh,
Magnus Borson says, Ty just finished Radio Nowhere. Can't wait for the next one.
Oh, thank you.
Some other Nick says, they say video games make you violent, but I would say that not having my video games makes me pretty damn violent.
I seem to remember there was actually some research that came out that suggested that there's something to that the video games give a release.
What if I suggested to you that
I know.
Rape rates descendingly
know.
Correlate with an increase in availability of porn?
The question is it correlation or is it causation? As always. I mean, because you also have a population that's aging, right? And so all violence tends to go down as that happens.
Yeah.
So there's but
you older guys remember that when you're around me, by the way.
But see, I remember. I mean, we've had the difference is we've had violence in this culture since the beginning. I mean, both in literature.
Well, we started the country on violence.
Exactly. Yeah. But I mean, we had. I mean, the earliest movies, cowboy movies. I mean, point is that we can actually look at a demonstrated history of violence in movies and literature and so forth, and not see any huge damage from that. Actually, you don't have that. You don't have that advantage of pornography. This is we really are in unexplored territory.
But you're making this argument.
I'm not arguing, Nick. I'm just saying that there is a that's a valid distinction between the two.
But see, I would counter with other people's argument that the exact same words can be used to describe the increasing levels of violence and the availability of violence. A Western is very different from Call of Duty, right? Like
but we've had war films, we've had cowboy movies,
but now you're doing it. And they suggest that it is strong. I'm just saying this is what other people say. I disbelieve all of this.
Yeah, I agree that could make a difference.
I don't trust any of these researchers.
Yeah,
but
not a single one of them.
But But what I was talking about was the porn violence thing rather than just the different gradations.
I know,
of
but I was trying to ruin your argument. Is what I was trying.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Well, see, I got the problem that I don't really know exactly where I'd fall on a lot of these debates, right?
Right, because most people don't have time to sit and think about this stuff because we're busy.
No, well, and it is
complicated.
Out a living. And it's okay to say, hey, this is, this is complex. I at least believe that Doug, for example, has thought about this to a reasonable degree. And
I've spoken on the subject of but what Nick said about it being complicated. What is the true cause of anything? I mean, how do you explain that so many people play video games and only a couple people shoot up a theater?
Yeah.
So it's not, you can't say, well, the games were the singular cause. Or how do you explain that tons of people look at porn, but only a few rape? Or but you'll hear similar arguments to people saying there's an uptick in sexual transition operations, and it's because it's being culturally normalized, or psychotherapists are recommending it more often. Is that the true cause?
Yeah, I don't know, but we should ban trans porn. I'm just saying.
Well, I'm just saying, it is complicated because it's hard to tell what is a true cause of anything. And so, if a government's going to ban it, I don't think it should ban it merely because it causes X or Y. Because you can see all kinds of what causes obesity or what causes diabetes.
Yeah, is there cancer? Anything out there that's only caused by one thing?
Yeah,
with human beings.
Yes, joy is only caused by me. The other Nick says, it really bothers me that Japan makes cute young characters and makes them okay by saying that these characters are 1,000-year-old dragons or some other mythical creature.
Yeah, that's kitty porn. Come on. They're fooling me.
Gravy Donson says, here's one Doug love post just to be countercultural.
Yay, my rebels. Look at that. Rebel.
Also building an army of Robotech Tactics miniatures, so Percival Tyronius Beard better be ready when I show up to a gaming convention. Also, the guy that recommended War in the Pocket to Ty is woke AF. So there you go.
Because War in the Pocket. I got to remember that.
Yeah. Okay, I got 3 more, guys, and we'll wrap up here. Richmeister84 says the name is from the Greek Perseus, which is derived from pertho, to destroy.
Yes.
The Wrong Crafter says...
I'm down with that.
The Wrong Crafter says kids aren't supposed to be watching porn in the first place, so why do all the innocent people who watch it responsibly have to pay? Ain't cool, Chief. Some nobody says more important...
Because you're going to hell.
Yeah.
More important says don't trust government to decide. And that's where I tend to fall. So, all right. Well, guys, it's been a long show. And I thank you all for coming on. I love these stupid chats. They're great.
This is great.
Yeah.
And
they're very enjoyable.
And is there any... Oh,
yeah.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, is there anything y'all want to say to the chat before we buzz out of here?
I do.
Yeah, I figured.
I want everybody to follow me on Twitter. Go to That Larry Show on Twitter and follow me. And then get ready for my incredible John McAfee interviews, which will be up in the next week or two.
Yeah, you gotta watch those. Two modern sages. No, John is always interesting to listen to. Larry is always interesting to listen to. I'm pumped for them. I'm really glad that that's who it was and not some guy I've never heard of. Which was a possibility, which is, no offense to you. I just haven't heard of a lot of people, but John's wild, and that's a great connection, man.
Fascinating guy. He is. Yeah.
What about Doug or Ty? Anything?
Oh yeah. God bless you all. Thanks for showing up. Nick, thanks for having me on. Great hanging with you guys. You guys are good guys. Everybody have a Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, indeed.
Merry Christmas. Be thankful and think about something good in your life and give thanks for it.
Yeah.
All right. What about you, Ty?
I think Doug and Larry said it all. Merry Christmas, guys. This is always fun too. I love these things.
Always fun.
Love you guys.
Thanks for putting these together, Nick. Really, I really appreciate it.
Truly my pleasure. There's 2 more chats, and then we're cutting it off. Cass Michael says, "You all rock." Doug, Earthworm Jim books are amazing. And D-Man Dog 056 says, "Merry Christmas, everybody." And that is that chat. Thank you to my lovely panel. And I hope you guys do have a great Christmas and New Year's. And we'll have to set one of these up after the New Year as well. And
real quick, Doug.
Now he wants to talk.
Sorry, yeah, I was going to say, my daughters are encouraging me to do the miniature painting thing with you.
Yeah,
it will be humiliating on my part, but that's okay.
No, we'll do a show. We'll paint some miniatures. I got some D&D figures for my kids, and you can do your war miniatures or something.
Okay, yeah, I'll figure that out. But anyway.
I did miss one from earlier. Doug, are you authoritarian or absolutist? I get your point. However, you're making many arguments that can apply to the Second Amendment. Government doesn't make better people. And as for harming children, priests and teachers.
Sure. Very quickly, the Second Amendment is about guns, and guns are we're talking about neutral tools, and speech even is a kind of a neutral tool. So either one can be in the hands of someone good or evil, right? But porn, I don't believe, is neutral. And I certainly wouldn't argue that it's good. And so I'm saying there's no reason for the government to defend what is not an actual good.
Well, there you go. That's all it is. That's it. All right. Well, thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks, chat. I will, against my better judgment, I'll pop over on Twitch for a little bit, so come check me out there. Otherwise, we'll see you all soon. There's no outro music because I have guests. And peace, chat. Bye. Love you all. Peace.